Hey Froggy friends, Kirostyle here, welcome back to Ace Attorney Investigations. Thank you so much for joining me here on stream. Psycho Reaper, congratulations on being first. Timbit, welcome in. Kieran, it's good to see you. Key Energy, thank you so much for stopping by. Hello Ash. Hope you guys are all doing well today. We left off last time halfway through episode 4, Turnabout Reminiscence. So we're going to continue it today. We are currently in the courtroom, and we are about to go talk to the judge to find out more about his observations regarding Gumshoe's alibi, because Gumshoe is currently being accused of a murder at the courthouse. Let's get going. It should take about 3 hours, I think, to finish this case, but we'll see how time manages to go. So let's continue. Okay, there we go. September 10th, 5:15 p.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. Oh, thank you for the stretch, Kieran. I really appreciate it. Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to test your witness testimony to see how it stands up. Do you doubt me? Am I your new suspect? In a sense, I suppose you could say that. Even you, a judge, are nothing but a common witness before Von Karma. Silence in the courtroom! Silence, I say! Mr. New Prosecutor recommended by Manfred Von Karma and Miss Prosecutor... Ugh. You bit your tongue again, didn't you? All the text just proceeded by itself. I did not click there. Angora, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. As defender of the law, I could never give false testimony. You can even place me under oath if you want. Very well then, your testimony if you please. So, I don't know if you guys can tell. I don't think you guys can tell, but I can tell. But my voice sounds different to me today, and I'm not sure if you guys can hear it, but maybe it's just all in my head. But I actually just got some Invisalign work on my teeth, so it feels a little strange in my mouth. It's not what I'm used to, but it'll be good for the long run. But it does feel kind of strange, and my voice... I feel like it feels a little bit different than normal, but I feel like if I go and watch the VOD, I probably won't be able to tell the difference, but we'll see. Okay. Hey, Blue Moss, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by. What I saw at recess. During the recess, I went to the restroom. There's a window on the hallway side. In other words, I could see into the hallway. You can't tell the difference? Okay. I'm like, yeah, it's a bit weird. It's a bit weird in my mouth. I know I'll get used to it in like a week or two, but, yeah. Also just look at the layout of this courthouse. Look at how far you have to walk to go to the bathroom. And the bathroom's just on its own in the entire, like, wing on the side. And if that's the men's bathroom, where's the women's bathroom? Like, this is such a weird layout. As I entered, I saw the detective buying something from the vending machines. But when I was about to exit the restroom, he had completely disappeared. A detective that goes missing while on duty. That sounds mighty suspicious to me. Your Honor, can you please try to remain calm? Oh! I'm so used to simply listening to testimonies I got caught up in the excitement. I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to spoil your fun now. I feel like every time I start a new stream of Ace Attorney Investigations, I have to remember like what kind of voice I try to give every character, because it's like I know what it is in my head, but just getting my mouth to do what I want Especially because this is our first stream over continuing an episode from the middle of an episode instead of the beginning of an episode. So I'm like, what kind of voice did I give the judge again? During the recess, I went to the restroom.
Hold it!
Your Honor, why exactly did you pay a visit to the restroom, if I may ask? Edgeworth, why do you think? Oh! Well, isn't it obvious? What else do you go to the restroom for? Well, maybe I knew it. You suspect me of some sort of tomfoolery, don't you? Please stay calm, Your Honor. It's gonna be much harder than I anticipated. I'm sorry. You're right. I need to think things through with a level head. I'm just nervous because so much happened today with this trial. Let's see, I announced a recess and a time for us to reconvene. But having done all that, I still wasn't able to go to the restroom right away. And why couldn't you? Mr. Faraday had been accused, so I had paperwork to process regarding a new prosecutor. Once I finished that, I was finally able to make a mad dash to the restroom. At least he stayed consistent on the going to the restroom part of his testimony. There's a window on the hallway side. In other words, I could see into the hallway.
Hold it!
Your Honor, did you really go to the men's restroom? What? What is the meaning of that statement? I simply meant that perhaps you went to a restroom on a different floor. I had to go for such a long time. It was all I could do to dash to the closest one to the courtroom. I suppose it's only natural given his circumstances. I ran from the courtroom through this floor's main lobby and down the hallway. Once you enter, you can see there's a window just above the urinals. And it was through that window, that you witnessed Detective Gumshoe, Your Honor. Yes, exactly! Your Honor, there's no need to yell, I could hear you just fine. Aru, welcome to the stream, thanks for stopping by. Oh, I guess I put a little too much into that last answer. Now then, let's continue with the testimony. As I entered, I saw that detective buying something from the vending machines. Are you sure that the person you witnessed was Detective Gumshoe, Your Honor? Yes, I'm absolutely sure. It's hard to miss someone of his stature, even from as far away as the restroom. Besides, I can't think of anyone else with that kind of hairstyle and big beige coat. Well, I was simply wondering if you were mistaken in what you saw. What? Preposterous! My eyes are as sharp as can be, ready to see through the lies to the truth. Although recently, things do seem to be a bit fuzzier than they used to be. Ugh, clearly his eyes are not the only things that got fuzzy. Allow me to say with all the honor and dignity of a judge, I'm not mistaken in what I saw. But when I was about to exit the restroom, he had completely disappeared.
Hold it!
He disappeared. But Your Honor, didn't you just say, I saw that detective buying something from the vending machines? Why yes, I did. The restroom window looks over the courtyard and right into the hallway. But just as I was about to exit, I took another look and there was no one in sight. That led me to the only solution to this mystery. That detective must have gone to the crime scene, lobby number 2, at that point. So he looked into the hallway from the restroom and over the courtyard, did he? A detective that goes missing while on duty, that sounds mighty suspicious to me.
Hold it!
Your Honor, I ask you please remain calm. No, I'm perfectly calm. You're being anything but perfectly calm. It appears His Honor could have not been mistaken in what he saw. I suppose so, given his line of sight. However, Francisca, why do you suppose our lines of sight are so different? If you're referring to my height... can't you hold that whip still for just a second? Now, about His Honor's testimony. I believe his line of sight to be an important factor. If it's that important, why don't you hurry up and tell him already? I will, but there's one more thing I need to do if I'm to correct His Honor's testimony. I'm going to need to retrace Detective Gumshoe's movements. So, if you were looking through the window, and he was sitting on the bench, you wouldn't see him.
Objection!
What was that finger wag for, Mr. Edgeworth? And don't you know it's rude to shout objection when someone's giving testimony? Huh. If you truly are a man of the law, then you must always be vigilant. For example, I never let an opportunity to shout objection pass me by. Miles Edgeworth, it's one thing to be passionate about your job, but this is real life. This is what some people may say is the pot calling the kettle black. Your Honor, I wonder if you might take a look at this for me. What is that filth? How dare someone dirty the hallway bench like that? Who's the culprit? That party is hereby found guilty of uncleanliness. If you must know, the uncouth bench sullier has already been placed under arrest thanks to your earlier testimony, Your Honor. Oh? Well, that's good, but who was it? We were able to discover something from the smudge on the bench. Namely, Detective Gumshoe's fingerprints. Not happy with committing just murder, he had to go and dirty the courthouse too? Guilty! Your Honor, please calm down. While it's true the detective is the one who made the mess on the bench, we have not yet established this action is related to double murder. What do you mean? I believe that the detective bought a pack of Swiss rolls from the vending machine, and then promptly sat down on the bench to eat one. The cake crumbs and pieces of chocolate on the floor under the bench. And Detective Gumshoe's fingerprints prove my conclusions to be true. Oh, but I still don't understand. Is this whole thing related to how I couldn't see him as I was leaving the restroom? Huh. It is indeed. The window in the hallway was built rather high up into the wall, and around a grown adult's chest height. As evidence, I submit that Franziska herself was unable to see out of the window. Ah! I knew I shouldn't have used her height as evidence. That was a very delayed whip crack. Hey Fate, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by, and thanks for calling Kirby. Basically, what this means is the area directly under the hallway window is a blind spot where the hallway is being viewed from the men's restroom. Then... It seems you have made the connection. If someone were to sit on the bench under the window, yes, even someone as large as Detective Gumshoe would effectively disappear from sight. What? You finally see, Your Honor? Your testimony just proven that Detective Gumshoe was in the hallway the entire time. Sorry. I didn't mean to say it with that much enthusiasm. All I want to do was try saying it once. Here, let me try that again. Hold it! Is there something of value you'd like to say? Yes, actually there is. I remembered something else just now. Mr. Edgeworth, please allow me to testify to the court one more time. Even if we overruled him, he'd just keep on talking, wouldn't he? That might not be a bad thing. The more info, the better in the perfect investigation, right? What I Saw, Part 2. I suppose it's possible you can't see a seated person from the restroom window. However, that doesn't mean that Detective Gumshoe was sitting there when I looked. Anyway, I forgot to testify earlier about probably the most important detail. As I was leaving the restroom, I heard the loud bang of a gunshot. How was that? That's the testimony of one who judges the crimes of others. Your Honor, could you try to state the important facts first next time? I agree. Before you go around judging others, you should learn to judge your own words. I'm sorry. But honestly, I thought that sound was just noise popper until now. Or just a noise popper until now. Now that he mentions it, right before we restarted the trial, he did talk about that. Oh, by the way, was there someone celebrating a birthday during the recess? I could have sworn I heard a popper going off. Come to think of it, the other day with my grandson. The most critical point in this argument is when did the judge look into the hallway? And whether that lines up with when the gun was actually fired. Your Honor, if I may, I'd like to clarify a few details in your testimony. I suppose it's possible you can't see a seated person from the restroom window.
Hold it!
In that case, do you concede that you were overconfident in your last testimony? Now hold on there. I just said it's possible you can't see a seated person from the restroom this time. But you know something? I don't think you know when the prints you referenced were left on the bench, do you? Ugh. While you have proven that it's possible the detective was sitting, I still have a problem with just when those fingerprints were left. He's right. I've yet to prove when the fingerprints were left on the bench. When he feigns ignorance, his honor has seen while he feigns ignorance, his honor has seen a lot of life. This judge, I mustn't underestimate him. However, that doesn't mean the detective was sitting there when I looked.
Hold it!
As we established, you went to the restroom during the recess. However, at what point in the recess did you look into the hallway? After I called for a recess, I handled the change of prosecutor paperwork. Maybe about 20 minutes until we reconvened. Yes, that sounds about right. Just as I expected. What were you expecting? And I demand to know what that all-knowing smile is for. Your Honor, that statement you made just now is very important. I'd like for you to append it to your testimony. Alright, if you insist. Let's see. I looked into the hallway about 20 minutes before we were to reconvene.
Hold it!
20 minutes before we reconvened. Very well, what did you do after that? Let's see. I had to make some preparations, so I rushed straight back to the courtroom. I also had to track down a few pieces of paperwork for the various bailiffs. So you rushed back to the courtroom despite having just heard a gunshot. Well, at the time, I thought it was just the sound of a noise popper. I really couldn't think of any other explanation than someone having a birthday party. But now that this has happened, I see. Thinking back, the judge did mention something to that effect when we reconvened. Anyway, I forgot to testify earlier about probably the most important detail.
Hold it!
If it's something that forgettable, I don't need to hear it. But all I did was forget to mention it. That sort of excuse may work on other people, but not upon Karma. Oh! But it's such an important piece of testimony. Please give me a chance to present it. I suppose I have no choice in the matter. As I was leaving the restroom, I heard the loud bang of a gunshot.
Hold it!
Your Honor, about what you just said. I know, I couldn't believe it myself, but bang went the gunshot. I heard it, and then I heard a knee-jerk reaction. Now I jumped into the air like this. Yes, just like this, with a quick ah. I forgot the judge actually has dialogue, kind of like Old Bag, where it just kind of proceeds on its own. Your Honor, please remain calm when you're trying to explain yourself to me. Yes, sir. Sorry about that. Now then, I must gather myself, yes. When I heard the gunshot, there was no one in the hall. I should know. I looked. There was no one there. This judge's emotion circuit seemed to be stuck on overreact. I believe that we finally found the flaw in His Honor's testimony. Yet sadly, he's completely oblivious to it. But I guess I can't really expect him to be aware of it. Well, what are you waiting for? Hurry up and fill him in. At least that thing finally came in handy. Indeed. Now let's see what happens when I present it to His Honor. The nice thing about Ace Attorney is also, if you don't know what you're doing, anytime someone has to append their testimony or add a new bubble to it, those are almost always the statements you need to pay attention to, right? It's like a big red flag. Hey Yami, welcome to the stream.
Objection!
I cannot allow you to make an objection. What? Your Honor, I'm really sorry, but I cannot allow you to not allow me to make an objection. Hey gods, I've been overruled. Your Honor, there are simply too many holes in your testimony for my taste. What do you mean by that? You claim that you heard the gunshot during the recess, but that's simply not possible. Huh? Mr. New Prosecutor recommended by Manfred von... Instead of biting your tongue, why don't you... Why don't you guys let me finish reading your text? I see you have no mercy for the elderly either, Franziska. Don't talk back to me unless you want to be whipped in the back. With your height, you need a stepladder or four to accomplish that. Mr. Edgeworth, my ears are not that far gone yet, I'll have you know. I can still hear just fine. And I heard the sound of a gunshot loud and clear with my own 2 ears. Your Honor, I have here an interesting bit of testimony. It's from Detective Bad. And according to him, he heard the gunshot right before the trial was to start again. What did you just say? Your Honor, you just said that you heard the gunshot about 20 minutes before we were to reconvene. How do you explain this glaring contradiction? That can't be! Unfortunately, that is the truth. But I heard it clear as day. Bang! The loud sound of a gunshot. Sound of the gunshot. We keep returning to this point of contention. And that piece of evidence. I always did wonder why I found it where I did. However, now I understand what that gunshot the judge heard really was. Unfortunately, Your Honor, this is what really produced the gunshot you heard.
Take that!
I found this object in the hallway earlier. What is that pink substance? You may not look it, but this is actually a piece of a balloon. I see. And I suppose you would like me to accept that pink balloon into the court record. Your Honor, I present this piece of evidence in order to overrule your testimony. What? Mondo, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. Your Honor, your argument goes as follows. You saw no one in the hallway when you heard the gunshot. Now, there's no guarantee the detective was sitting on the bench at the time. Therefore, you believe he must have been at the crime scene, defendant lobby number 2. Am I correct? Yes, that's exactly right. Let me ask you something. Do you think the gunshot you heard was produced by a real gun? Huh? I think I've said enough that even you can figure out the rest on your own. Your Honor, you were fooled by the popping of this balloon into thinking it was a gunshot. What matter of trickery is this? That was a good effort you put forth, Miles Edgeworth. But if it were me, I'd have wrapped this thing up before the judge even testified. Care to elaborate on how one ends something before it even begins? Well, to be honest, I did think the sound was a bit off from a real gunshot sound. But who could have guessed that someone would pop a balloon in a place like this? That's true. One doesn't usually think balloons in conjunction with courthouse. I want to trade these coins with you. That's it. That balloon the girl was holding. It explains everything. Your Honor, if it makes you feel any better, you didn't lie once in your testimony. However, I can't really vouch for its accuracy. Oh. Who knew? That giving testimony could be such a difficult thing to do. What have I done? I owe Detective Gumshoe a very, very big apology. I will see to it myself he is released. Wait. There are still a few things I have yet to resolve about what happened in the hallway. Your Honor, I request your permission to further question Detective Gumshoe. But why? I thought we just cleared his name. Whether we did just now or not, I still cannot say. The only thing I can do for now is continue in my quest for the perfect explanation. And to that end, I must resolve the remaining issues pertaining to the events that occurred in the hallway. Very well, Bailiff, please bring Detective Gumshoe to the courtroom. I must fulfill my mission and find the perfect explanation to this case. September 10th, District Court, Courtroom Number 3. What is it now? Is it time for my trial already? I've already told you a gazillion times, pal. I didn't do it. I'll be the judge of that, Detective Gumshoe. No, you won't. I'll be the judge of that. No. I'm the judge around here, and I'll be the judge of that. Why can't you guys be a little less judgmental? Yes, well, speaking of hasty judgments, Detective Gumshoe, I'm afraid I must apologize for an error in judgment on my part. Your Honor, I don't believe you should apologize just yet. We have yet to prove he is completely innocent of this crime. I guess so. What are you guys talking about? In any case, I would like you to testify as to your actions while you're on guard duty. And please remember, you're not on trial. This is all just part of an investigation. As such, you may still be found to be innocent. However, if you should give false testimony... Yeah! My whip will object loud and clear. If you are found to be lying, you will be held indefinitely. Understood? I got you, pal. Thinking back on the state of the crime scene and the judge's testimony, it's obvious Detective Gumshoe's lying. And if I can't break his lie, then we may never get a break in this case. While I was on duty, I came down here to the courthouse on Detective Bad's orders. As soon as I got here, he ordered me to stand guard in front of lobby number 2. From that time on, until I heard the gunshot, I was in the hallway the whole time. On my honor as a detective, I swear it wasn't me, pal. He's still singing the same tired tune. In that case, I'll just have to change the melody. I know he's lying, and it's time I pulled the information I need out of him. I came down here to the courthouse on Detective Bad's orders.
Hold it!
So, was it really Detective Bad who called you down here? You bet it was, pal. I was left in charge of the precinct while everyone was out, and this call comes in. I want you down here 1 minute flat, he said. Well, I thought this was my big chance, my first case, so I made a mad dash down here. Although, I couldn't exactly get here in a minute flat. So how long did it take you? About 10 minutes, I guess. And what was Detective Bad doing when you finally made it? He was waiting for me down on the first floor in the entranceway, pal. As soon as I got here, he ordered me to stand guard in front of lobby number 2.
Hold it!
And by he, you mean Detective Bad, of course. And this being my first time at the courthouse, he also walked with me up to the 3rd floor hallway in front of the defendant lobbies. And did you meet anyone along the way? Well... Just as we entered the hallway, we ran into Miss Yu. When we heard from Miss Yu that Mr. Faraday was not to be interrupted, that's when Detective Bad told me to stand guard in the hallway, pal. So far, Detective Gumshoe's testimony is matching up with Detective Bad's. From that time on, until I heard the gunshot, I was in the hallway the whole time.
Hold it!
You claim to have been in that hallway the whole time. However, is it not a fact you did something while you were in that hallway? Of course I did something. I guarded the door to lobby number 2, pal. What else? Very well then, and what exactly does guarding that door entail? Well, to put it simply... Oh, I know, it was my job to stand in front of the door without moving an inch. Oh? Detective Gumshoe, you mean to tell me that you didn't take a single step away from the door to lobby number 2? Is that really what you wish to testify to the effect of? You got it, pal. I didn't take a single step from that door, just like I was ordered not to. Why is everyone so quiet all of a sudden? Because we are all in shock, and in awe of your utter stupidity. Scruffy, if you're gonna lie, at least tell us a more believable one. Ouch! But I'm not lying! Hey, Kyoko Buff, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. I should hurry up and bring this insipid testimony to a close. And until I heard the gunshot, I didn't take a single step away from lobby number 2 door.
Hold it!
I'm only going to ask you one more time, Detective Gumshoe. Are you sure you stood in front of the door to lobby number 2 the entire time? Yep, after I was told to by Detective Bad. I stood guard in front of that door without a single break. So believe me when I say, I was in the hallway the whole time already, pal. Why did everyone go quiet all of a sudden? Again. Apparently someone has a bit of trouble reading between the lines. What's that supposed to mean? I don't... Be quiet. Ouch! I should hurry up and bring this insipid testimony to a close. On my honor as a detective, I swear it wasn't me, pal!
Hold it!
Would you also be willing to swear there was no one else in the hall besides you? What are you talking about, pal? I just swore to you I was doing my job, pal. Oh, then what are you acting so nervous for? What? No, I'm not nervous at all, pal. Anyway, not a single person other than myself was in the hall the whole time. I should just let it go. Pursuing this train of thought at this time would just be a waste of time. To have such a foolishly foolish contradiction in such a foolishly foolish testimony is just plain old foolish. Indeed. However, in the pursuit of the perfect investigation, I'm afraid we have to deal with it by squashing it under the weight of the evidence. Oh yeah, Gumshoe? Oh yeah? What about this?
Objection!
I have an objection. What is it, pal? Detective Gumshoe, I wonder if you might recognize this from somewhere. Hey, it's one of those things. The courthouse special Swiss rolls, right, pal? Precisely. In that case, I suppose that you also recall the sullied hallway bench. Hey, you know what? I think it was probably me that did that. Detective Gumshoe, you know you can't go around dirtying up the courthouse like that. You inconsiderate, slovenly pig. Yeah. I promise to clean up later, I swear. Now then, shall we get down to business? About the fact you didn't move even a single step from in front of that door. If it really was the case, how were you able to buy a pack of Swiss rolls? Ugh! Furthermore, if you didn't move a single step from the front of that door, how did you manage to get the bench dirty with your grubby hands? Ugh! It appears Francisca's whip can do more damage than my words alone can. Alright, I confess, pal. I was hungry, so I bought a pack for myself, okay? I thought I'd get chewed out again if anyone found out about me eating on the job. So I didn't want to say anything. Well, unfortunately for you, I saw you do the whole dastardly deed. I clearly saw you buying a pack of Swiss rolls from the vending machine. Oh, okay, I'm sorry for lying. But that's all I'm sorry for, you got that? Because I'm not holding anything else back. That last statement, it may sound like it makes sense. However, there's something I don't quite believe about it. Are you sure you're not withholding further information from us? Of course not! I've got nothing else to hide, pal.
Objection!
Well, if only that were true, Detective Gumshoe. But it is true, pal! I swear there's nothing else! Detective Gumshoe, I'm sure you are aware of the price of a pack of Swiss rolls, correct? Remind me again, pal. That vending machine out in the hallway is selling packs of 2 Swiss rolls for $6 a pack. And yet, according to you, you didn't have any cash until you cashed in your $5 annual bonus check. Isn't that right? Oh. Let me ask then, how did you manage to purchase a pack all by yourself? Can you provide me with a proper explanation to that? I told you, I bought it by myself, pal. There wasn't anyone else in that hallway with me. So there's no one who could have helped me buy it. Wait, don't tell me. You got some kind of proof there was someone else in that hallway, don't you? Correct. As if you could, I mean, what are the chances of that? Wait, you do? Of course I do. What? How? What proof do I have there must have been someone else there in the hallway? Oh right, because the young girl dropped this. Hey Vanilla, welcome to the stream today. Thanks for dropping by. Yeah, poor Gumshoe, he's just getting beaten up and everyone's just dogpiling on him.
Take that!
Hey, you showed that to me not 2 seconds ago, pal. I think you're under the mistaken impression I bought this pack of rolls. Wait, if you didn't buy it, then that means you must have stolen it, you thief! I would never do such a thing. All you liars are the same, you start out as thieves! You're under arrest, pal. I believe you're meant to assert that all thieves start as liars. In that case, what does that say about you, detective? Ugh. This particular Swiss roll was dropped by a certain someone. Oh! There were 2 rolls in this package. You ate one of them, but you gave the other one to a certain other person, didn't you? No way, pal. You've got it all wrong. I ate both of them. It would appear we've caught you at last. Hey, don't you dare do anything bad to that girl! It would appear that they do know each other after all. So, why do you continue to come up to me and kick me? Have I wronged you somehow? I have a name, and it's K. K what? K Faraday. Faraday? Are you perhaps Mr. Faraday's daughter? I'm not you, I'm K. K? You know, good little girls don't kick other people. Especially not hard enough to leave big nasty bruises like the way you do. Well, then you should not put Gummy under arrest, mister. Gummy? My guess is she's talking about Detective Gumshoe. What a cute nickname you've given him. Gummy didn't do anything wrong. Okay. It appears I will need to speak with her in a bit more detail. Rah! Yes, what is it? That girl, she seems to know that scruffy detective. Maybe she knows something about him that we don't. Agreed. However, she seems to be rather uncooperative at the moment. She's like a stray alley cat. Huh, I wonder what would happen if we fed her. Perhaps I will try feeding her. It appears we've caught you red-handed eating a Swiss roll. Ugh! Look, I'm sorry about lying to you, pal. And you have nothing else to say? Sure do! It was so fluffy, and sweet, and big. And it was perfection, pal. And totally worth every penny of my bonus. This poor man. I see. Well, good for you, detective. I can't believe it, but it's almost funny when a fool is that unbelievably foolish. Oh dear. What's the matter, Your Honor? I claim to hand down fair verdicts, but unfairly cast suspicion on the big fella. If this had been a trial just now, I would have destroyed his life. I am the guilty one. Oh. We all make mistakes, Your Honor. To err is human, to forgive divine, as they say. Although, if you were to make a mistake during a trial, then that would be quite unforgivable. Why is it so choppy here? Now then, Kay. Yes! She's like a stray cat. I wonder if I should feed her something. Hey, kid, do you like to eat balloons?
Take that!
Okay, I promise to give this to you if you calm down. Oh, a Swiss roll! It really belongs to you, doesn't it, though? Yeah. I was saving it for Daddy. Oh no, this just got really depressing. Oh my! Your father. He's... Ugh! Don't you say another word, pal! She doesn't know yet! Thanks for watching out for me, Gummy. But I already know about Daddy. I overheard the guards talking. About how he's not here anymore. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I couldn't protect him. Okay. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. It's alright. Let it all out. Your father has just passed away after all. I myself was also involved in a case at this courthouse when I was a young child. A case in which my father, who is a defense attorney, passed away. Wow, actually, yeah, now that he mentions it, they have a lot in common. This courthouse is very unlucky. All of my dreams of becoming a lawyer were crushed into fine ash on that nightmarish day. Even now, the wound festers deep in the depths of my soul. Ever since that incident, I've dedicated myself to locking away every criminal I can. And now, to have this happen right in front of me. As a child, I feel a certain shared fate, a common bond between us. Miles Edgeworth, what sort of gentleman are you? Are you going to stand there and watch a lady cry? Oh, you're right. Sorry about that. Okay, here, how about we use this handkerchief here and dry your little eyes? My cravat! Don't blow your nose on that! I feel better now. Thanks. I like how he just kind of, like, ends the conversation there. I guess no one else has something new to say. Okay, are you going to be alright? Also, there's snot all over my cravat now. Yep, I'm already alright. Somehow, I highly doubt that, but I'm not gonna push it. I promised Daddy I'd never cry in front of strangers. And you're a good kid, aren't you, Kay? You always keep your promises, right? That's right. Even if I can't see Daddy anymore, I'm still gonna keep all my promises. You're a very brave girl, Kay. You're a very good child for keeping the promises you made to your papa. I'll even testify that you didn't cry. Just for you. Thank you very much, lady. Huh. It's nothing. I'm only telling the truth, after all. Aw, look at Franziska being nice. It would appear that because her father was a respected prosecutor, Franziska is sympathetic to Kay's feelings. Kay, what kind of person was your father? Daddy was a hero of justice. His job was to catch all the bad people in the world. So to you, a prosecutor is a hero of justice, huh? I suppose we are in a sense, as we are the ones who seek guilty verdicts for criminals. Plus, you know what? Whenever I came to the courthouse, Daddy would buy me my absolute favorite treat, Swiss rolls. Oh, I want to be a hero of justice someday, just like Daddy. So I've been working really hard. I see. What have you been working hard on? I've been working hard to keep all the promises Daddy and I made together. A promise notebook. May I take a look inside, Kay? Sure, okay. It appears to be an exchange diary of sorts between father and daughter. Mr. Faraday's writing conveys a sense of the kind of man he was. This little notebook just might come in handy later. Thank you for showing it to me, Kay. I hope you'll continue to work hard and become a hero just like your father. I'm gonna try. Hey Kay, so I'm a detective that catches the bad people, right? That makes me a hero too! Yeah, you're really cool too, Gummy. Yeah, aren't I, Kay? What is with the two of them? I hand down verdicts of justice, so that makes me a hero too! Yes, and thanks to your oh-so-heroic testimony, you almost painted that detective as a vile criminal and sent him off to jail. Ugh. Oh, I'm really sorry about that. Gummy is not a bad man, okay? A poor judge. He's being treated like a vile criminal rather than a hero of justice. It appears that you and Detective Gumshoe are good friends, Kay. Yeah, we're friends. In that case, would you mind telling me a little bit more about him? Actually, let's look at the promise diary. Exchange diary between Mr. Faraday and Kay. Promise 1, never take things from a stranger. Promise 2, never go anywhere with a stranger. Promise 3, always greet people with a smile, even people you don't know. Promise 4, never cry in front of strangers. Promise 5, always try your hardest to learn about things you don't understand. Daddy's job is to make sure that everyone follows the rules. Kay, be a good girl and promise that you'll keep your promises to me, okay? Love, your daddy. Aww. So I take it that you ran into Detective Gumshoe earlier. Yep. I was on my way to see Daddy when I saw Gummy standing there. He was standing in the hallway staring really hard at the vending machine, so I said hi. And when was this? Before everything got crazy. How long were the two of you together? We only talked for a little while, and then we went on our own ways. That's right, pal. Kay and I only talked for a little while, and that's it. Oh, which means we've now confirmed that Kay was in the hallway during the recess. Isn't that right? Ah, you got me. I told you to stop picking on Gummy, mister. Very well then. I'll just have to speak with the good detective in private later. Were you the one who bought this pack of Swiss rolls, Kay? Well, I didn't really have a lot of money, and I somehow made $1 out of all the pennies and quarters I had. But that still wasn't enough, and I really, really wanted one. Come to think of it, she did come and ask me to exchange a handful of change for $1. And that's when you came and asked me to change your money, correct? Yeah, thanks a bunch for doing that, mister. Sure. Let me ask you, even with $1, you still didn't have enough, correct? Well, that's why... Hey, if you bully Kay anymore, I'm gonna have to arrest you, pal. Need I remind you that you're the one under arrest? Ugh! I sense that Kay is going to be less than forthcoming with this question. Sorry about your roughly thing. Ugh. Yes, well, now that it's positively drenched in your nasal mucus. Don't worry, Kay. I have a spare. So here, you can have this one. Daddy said, never take things from a stranger. It's one of the promises you made in your promise notebook, correct? Yeah, look, see? It's right here on this page. Alright then, I'm not giving this to you. I'm merely allowing you to borrow it. You can take it home, wash it nice and clean, and give it back to me next time we meet. Okay, Daddy never said I couldn't borrow things from strangers. Now then, Detective Gumshoe. Just the idea that he carries around a spare cravat with him all the time is just so silly, but it's also like a very Edgeworth thing to do. Uh-oh. I believe it's now crystal clear. You were with little K in that hallway. Oh. I told you to stop being mean to Gummy. Miles Edgeworth, there's still something you have yet to resolve. I beg your pardon. You still haven't offered an explanation for why that man would lie to us. That's, well... Gummy, don't tell me you lied for my sake. Hey, don't worry about it, Kay. Everything's gonna be okay. So that's why. So, what was Detective Gumshoe's motive for lying? If you can't explain that, you can't call this a perfect investigation. His reason for lying is simple. What? Here's what I believe to be his reason. From simple observation of the detective's actions and his interactions with Kay, it's obvious that Detective was lying for the young girl's sake. And this piece of evidence will show you exactly why. Which piece of evidence proves that Detective Gumshoe is lying on account of Kay?
Take that!
Mr. Faraday and Kay's promise notebook? How does that explain anything? You can take a look at this page. It's clearly written that Kay should never take things from a stranger. When Detective Gumshoe heard about that promise, he tried to cover for Kay. What a foolishly foolish fool's fool of a foolish reason for a fool! Yeah. Gummy, you lied because of me, didn't you? Because I'm your friend, Kay. That's why. Gummy. Long last, Detective Gumshoe, can you please tell me the whole truth now? I guess there's no beating you, huh, pal? Okay. I'll spill the goods. I've been standing guard for a while. I was getting really hungry and that snack vending machine was taunting me. But all that cash you had on you was $5, and that was enough to buy anything, right? After all, the cheapest item in that machine is a $6 pack of Swiss rolls. Yeah, but then like an angel from heaven, Kay showed up. I was thinking about sharing a snack with Daddy, so I wanted to buy a Swiss roll. But I only had about $1 in coins. So we pooled my $5 and her $1 together, and bought a pack of Swiss rolls together. But I was worried about breaking one of my promises. So then Gummy said, Mr. Faraday's one scary guy when he gets mad. But don't worry, you won't get in trouble if I don't tell, right? Besides, you bought it with me. So you didn't really get it from me, you know? He told me it'd be okay. And he gave me a whole roll to save and give to Daddy. Who knew that Scruffy could be so considerate? Indeed. See, like I said before, that after playing Trilogy, I had a neutral opinion about Gumshoe. Like, I liked him, but I wasn't like, woo, Gumshoe! I was just like, oh, yeah, he's pretty cool. But then, like, after this case, I was like, I really like him a lot more. I mean, throughout all the Investigations games, seeing his friendship with both Edgeworth and Kay has really brought me around to liking him more and more, but like this was kind of like the turning point, for me at least. Again, it's not like I disliked him, and it's not like I was like, you know, apathetic about him, it's just he didn't really cross my radar that much, right? Plus the fact that in the Investigation games, they give him a new rearrangement of his theme, this one, that is playing right now, and I really like this music track. Detective, I take it that you sat down on the bench and ate the rolls together. Yeah, we split the other roll and ate it right then. The sweet taste of that cake is chocolate. I'll never forget as long as I live, pal. Aw, not only did he let her have the other roll for her dad, but then they split the other roll, so he only got half a roll, or a quarter of what they paid for, even though it was like his $5, like, which is like his last $5. And then everyone just dogpiled on him and then whipped him. Poor guy. Anyway. Kay, I believe this also belongs to you.
Oh, that's from the balloon I popped. It's bad manners to leave garbage lying around, Kay. I'm sorry. Well, I guess I can't blame you for not throwing this one piece away. It was sitting high up on a windowsill where you couldn't see it. So just this once, I forgive you. That balloon... I want to surprise Gummy a little, so I popped it on purpose. And because of me, Gummy dropped his half of the Swiss roll.
Poor Gumshoe. Wow, you really got me there, pal.
So I thought maybe I should give Gummy this other roll. And then I saw you picking on Gummy, mister.
So you kicked me, is that it?
You sure are a feisty one. I'm really sorry, mister.
It's alright. I'm perfectly unharmed. But about the Swiss roll, would it be alright with you if I held on to it until Detective Gumshoe is cleared of all charges and free to go?
Yeah, sure. Just make sure you give it to Gummy afterwards, okay?
Of course, I promise. Now then, I believe we have proven beyond the shadow of a doubt that Detective Gumshoe was in the hallway for the entire duration of his duty, which undeniably proves that Detective Gumshoe could not have committed the double murders.
Objection!
Actually, it proves just the opposite, Edgeworth. You've just shown that Detective Gumshoe is the only one who could have committed the crime.
What do you mean?
It's quite rude to eavesdrop, Miss Yu.
I'm getting lectured on manners. A girl with a penchant for whipping people.
What? How dare you talk back with such insolence? You're wrong, lady. Gummy's not the bad guy. Oh, and what have we here? What is a child doing here in a courthouse? Bailiff, please take this child away.
What? Miss Callisto, that girl is Mr. Faraday's.
I know. So what? You think that just because she's the victim's daughter, she gets to run her wild just around the crime scene? I think it's actually quite dangerous for her, to speak of nothing of getting underfoot.
I suppose you're right, however...
As long as we're in agreement on that point, let's get back to the real issue at hand.
Also, another thing I think is clever about Callisto's musical theme, and I didn't mention it last stream, is like, the first maybe 5 seconds of it sound like it's kind of serious. Like, you see her, and you're like, the music starts playing, and you think she's kind of a serious character, and then she bursts out laughing, and then the music just changes into like a jazzy, fun track. Is also really good. I really like the character themes in Ace Attorney games, because they do such a good job of capturing each character in musical form. And especially if you play the Great Ace Attorney, which I love again, which has really good character themes, and you go into the music box mode of the game and read the descriptions that accompany each track and their thoughts behind each of them and why they picked them the way they did for the characters, it's really fascinating to read. Even more so if you compare some of the unused tracks in that game that are included in the soundtrack. You can compare the unused tracks of some of the characters with the ones they went with, and you can really see why they chose the direction that they did and dropped the unused tracks. It's just really fascinating.
Now then, Detective, you were in front of the door to lobby number 2 the entire time, correct?
Yeah, but...
You see, isn't it obvious it could only be the detective? He is the only person who could have gone into lobby number 2 at the time of the murders.
Ugh. I have no counter-argument to that.
Don't worry, I've already put in the necessary paperwork for his formal arrest.
Ugh, but the investigation's far from over.
Oh, that's right. I was going to speak with you about that. Don't you think it's reckless to talk to a suspect out in the open without a guard?
I suppose it is.
Well, as someone with more experience in law than you, allow me to share something. You'll always keep a good eye on the criminal, or you may regret what comes of your negligence. Oh, Miles, I can't believe you're letting this woman lecture you like this. This is unforgivable as a disciple of Von Karma. Down, Tigress. Now then, I'll be looking forward to the results of your investigation. So, we're back to square one.
Actually, this is our last chance. I can tell if we fail to solve this case, Detective Gumshoe will be formally charged under all the circumstantial evidence. This investigation's not over yet. There's still one location we have yet to inspect. It's where Detective Bad and Miss Yu were at the time of the crime. Lobby number 1. To be continued. September 10th, 5:45 p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby number 1. What is this incredibly overpowering sweet scent?
It smells like flowers. Uncle Bad, is this it?
Isn't that Detective Bad and K over there?
It looks like she managed to escape the bailiff.
No, that's not quite it.
Aw, too bad, but it's so pretty.
I think you're still a bit too young to be wearing that. But since you found it, I guess I can let you keep it.
Thanks, I'll treasure it always.
Those two seem to get along rather well. Oh, here. I've got something else for you.
Yay! Thank you, Uncle Bad. Earlier, I ate one of these gummy.
Gummy? Oh, you mean gumshoe?
Gummy is. He was trying to be nice to me because I was gonna get in trouble. And then he got in trouble because he lied to protect me. Gummy. Oh. I know he didn't kill Daddy.
Don't cry. Faraday would be sad if he saw you crying.
I'm not crying.
Hey.
Oh, it's the mister from before, and the lady too.
Don't you think it would be a good idea to go home for the time being?
You're not involved in this investigation, so it's for the best if you do. Actually, I'm Uncle Bad's assistant. So I'm related to the investigation.
Is that so, Detective Bad? Yeah, I guess.
What? You were just scolding us like kids not to mess up the crime scene. And now you let this child run free. Why?
People are free to investigate things outside of the actual crime scene. You also had a few things you wanted to look into. Got a problem with that?
Ugh.
I don't have a problem with that, but I am curious as to what Miss Yu is looking into.
Uncle Bad, I'm gonna look somewhere else now, okay?
Alright, I'm counting on you.
Oh, that's right. Hey, mister.
Yes, what is it?
I know Gummy really isn't the bad guy. I mean it. So please, find the real bad guy, okay?
I won't forgive whoever did this. But in the absence of the perfect piece of testimony and evidence, there's no one else who could be the true culprit other than Detective Gumshoe. She wandered off while I was pondering.
Yes, what is it? What is this smell that's permeated the air?
It's sweet and flowery, although at this strength I'm likely to suffocate from it.
I can't conduct an investigation under these circumstances. We need to open a window and air this room out. I demand you open a window right now, hurry!
Francisca, one of the windows is already open.
I can see that.
I wonder, is it just a coincidence that one of the windows in this room is already open too? That expensive painting is ill-suited to be hanging on the wall of this room. I love how he finger wags at the portrait.
I wonder if a guard detail should be placed on it.
Why do you say that?
Well, a desperate, low-paid detective may off with it someday, you never know.
She may be thinking about hiring a guard, but it's obvious she isn't factoring in that guard's salary whatsoever. One of the windows in this lobby is open as well. The air conditioner is working just fine in this room. So why did they open it, I wonder? This decorative plant's leaves are shinier than the ones on the plant in lobby number 2. That's probably because it's next to the windows where it's easier to photosynthesize. You may be right. The curtains are always drawn in lobby number 2. The caretakers of this courthouse don't think enough about the plants, do they? And that's because they're the courthouse's caretakers, not a bunch of botanists. What incredibly strong scented herbal tea. I fear that more than being relaxing, the scent may make one a bit heady instead. You put on a special request for that. No wonder she's so violent, if she's been drinking this stuff the whole time. Neither woman should be allowed to comment on this particular topic. Ever. It may not look like much, but I find that ordinary tables like this one are very useful. I think it's time they brought a new one. I wonder if they will replace this table if I hit enough with my whip. A much too heavy-handed method if I ever saw one. This television is the same model as the one in defendant lobby number 2. Looks like the two rooms are basically the same in terms of layout and supplies. Yes. The two rooms are basically the same, huh? I can see down into the courthouse courtyard from here. What is that mess supposed to be? It's like an optical illusion. I believe it's supposed to be postmodern in design. More like thoughtlessness in design. I can't disagree there. Hey Danger, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. It's good to see ya. Hope you're doing well. Oh, I didn't mean to go back out in the hallway. I didn't think they would let me come back out here. The bench is covered with ants. The janitor is gonna have a tough time with this. It would appear that they're coming in through the open window up there. Ants are unusual creatures. We can learn so much from their diligence and zeal. Should I talk to her while I'm here? I guess I might as well. What is it, Edgeworth? Nothing in particular, however... He says... Ugh. You did it again! What is that supposed to be? Your mating call? Is everything I do humorous to this woman? Look, Edgeworth, I'm incredibly busy right now. I've got a mountain of things to figure out and check up on. If you want to talk, you're just gonna have to wait until later, okay? I'll just continue with my investigation then. Mr. Lab Technician, I want to know what you found. Oh, I found some fingerprints I can't show to any kids. Whose fingerprints are they? I think they're the victims. And what kind of prints are they? The kind that Detective Bad told me not to show you kids. Ugh, that only makes me all the more curious. That is one tiny TV. Detective Gumshoe was rather shocked at this, and said it was huge in comparison to his own. Huh, anything you compare with something he owns will always seem grandiose. Speaking of grandiose, I'd say that ego of yours could use a little deflating. I suppose it's impossible to enter or exit through these windows, thanks to these bars. I suppose you're right. Actually, that's not true. I bet a person of small stature could slip in. Francisca, would you care to help me test my theory? Ugh! Drat. I must remember to be more tactful around the vertically challenged. It seems the detective has more brains than he looks in some regards. Do you really think so? Because to me, in order to pull off a crime of this magnitude, let's just say I doubt he has enough mental prowess to be successful at such a thing. Huh, don't think that kind of subjective commentary is going to prove anything. If you have a theory, then prove it to me with evidence. Of course, that has been my intention all along. Was this table here all along? I suppose so.
Objection!
Well, clearly it's out of place. When you take the sofa into consideration, that table is much too tall. I get the impression the two are not meant to be used as a set, Francisco. I knew that. It seems she's lost her calm sense of judgment in her eagerness to defeat me. This decorative plant's foliage is quite nice.
It's actually soothing to be around. Perhaps I should purchase one for my room. You must be tired, Franziska. Care to take a short break on that sofa? Yeah, right next to the two dead bodies. That's a great idea, Edgeworth. Surely you jest. Me? Sit on that tiny, dirty, disgusting thing? Well, that detective said you could sleep all 25 hours of the day on this. Franziska, you have way more problems than the fact the sofa's dirty. It's right next to the dead bodies. I wonder if the killer used these plastic bags in a flash of inspiration. With that detective, I somehow doubt he's that quick-witted. So you're saying this crime was thought out in advance? With that detective, I somehow doubt he's capable of making such a complex plan. Franziska, when will you learn to take responsibility for your statements? This vending machine is stocked with a variety of base food products. Yet, despite their banality, they're priced extraordinarily high. I have no interest in anything that is unrelated to the case, Miles. Hold on, I wouldn't dismiss it yet. Clues are often found in the most surprising of places. No matter how insignificant it may seem, we should all give things due consideration. I suppose, in that case, Miles Edgeworth, you will buy me one of those ham sandwiches, for evidence sake, of course. I believe that preserving the crime scene takes precedence, Franziska. Miles Edgeworth, prepare me some change. What if I refuse? Well, aren't we stingy? I'm shocked that you're unwilling to part with a few coins. Think what you will. Besides, we can't go around changing the state of this crime scene. Huh, you don't have to treat me like a child. I already knew that, you know. Oh, then why did you bother asking for change in the first place? But they have new dialogue for all the things we've already talked about. I don't believe it. This judge has it all wrong. The star of the courtroom isn't him, it's me, Franziska von Karma. As long as she doesn't turn evil, I suppose I can live with just another megalomaniac. That extinguisher looks like it would be good at extinguishing any bad memories. With a solid smack across the back of a person's head. Are you saying you have memories you like erased at your tender age? I am perfect. Therefore, I don't have anything I want to erase from my mind. I was talking about you, Miles Edgeworth. I have no intention of revisiting the past. Oh, that's too bad. Well, if you ever want my help erasing memories, I'll be sure to ask. This guy's still here. Sir! Nothing to report, sir! Is there no one who will make this man take responsibility for his actions on the job? Looks like we have no choice but to report this to Papa. Then this guard can have fun in a waking nightmare after being awakened from his dream. Actually, let's not. I kind of feel sorry for him now. Okay, that dialogue's still the same. Is this dialogue all the same? It's an incredibly detailed model, isn't it? I heard it costs as much to make. Yeah, this is the same dialogue. What about the water fountain? Is it fixed? It appears I won't be drinking out of this until it's been repaired. If you want a drink of water, just find a tap. It's all the same. No, actually, the water from this is apparently something special. There was a man here who was practically bathing in it. I know. Ah, then obviously we were both thinking the same thing. I suppose we'll just have to wait then. Yes. Oh, sorry, mister. I'm a little busy right now. Doing what? Well, I'm looking for something. Uncle Bad told me to, so that's what I'm going to do. Let's go. I don't want to interfere with the girl, lest Detective Bad get angry. Yes, agreed. Oh, I thought the judge might be in here. Okay, let's continue with the investigation for real. We're getting too off track. No, I didn't mean to click that. Detective Bad, what exactly was Kay searching for? Nothing that concerns you, boy. Oh, and I suppose it has something to do with Kay. It does, because she's Faraday's daughter. Anyway, hurry up and get to the point.
I don't have time to waste.
Sounds like he'd rather be left alone. I have something I'd like to confer with you once again.
I don't have anything to say to you.
Be that as it may, we still have questions that we need answers to. Now then, first of all, what is this overpowering smell that's permeating this room? Upon entering this room, I thought I was going to suffocate.
It's that ultra-strong perfume Yu wears. She spilled some of it. I was having a bad time of it myself. I didn't think twice and opened the window. But that smell's still here.
Perfume, huh? So the sweet scent in the air is perfume.
Well, it's giving off quite a stench. I bet it's some cheap no-name brand. She said, it's a famous brand from overseas. It's a knockoff. Yes, definitely a knockoff. No disrespect, but she forced one of those bottles on me. Here, little girl, you can have it. Huh. I was born for a much more expensive and refined perfume. However, seeing as how you just happen to have a spare, I suppose I'll take it. Miles Edgeworth, you will hold on to this bottle without fail.
Ugh. Why can't she ever be honest about what she wants? So now we have the perfume Miss Yu wears. Just fantastic. Is that all you wanted to talk about? If so, I'm going back to investigating. Actually, I still have a few other things I wish to inquire about. Ugh. Why would you give him an extra bottle of the perfume? I mean, I know gameplay-wise, the whole reason he got it was so he can give it to us so we could put it in the court record, but still. So you were in this room the entire recess.
Like I said, I made a call to the precinct to get that big lug down here. But other than that, I was waiting for the recess to end in here.
At least your story is consistent. Earlier you stated you were in this lobby with Miss Yu.
Yeah, I ran into her in the hallway. She said she wanted to talk to me about something, so we came in here.
Then what you're saying is that until Detective Gumshoe's arrival, you and Miss Yu were in two different locations.
Yes I am.
Interesting.
Speaking of that lawyer, she seems to have a great dislike for you.
Ugh. Let's see, Miss Yu is a sister of the victim of the KG8 incident. And as I recall, Detective Bad was the lead detective on the case. I wonder if the reason for her disdain isn't simply because you failed to guard Cece, but because you were the lead detective on the case.
Ugh. You knew.
I also know that today's trial, involving the Kodopian Embassy staff member, is being referred to as the second KG8 incident.
Ugh.
Now then, Detective, I believe it's time you were honest with me, and told me the truth behind your relationship with Miss Yu and Mr. Faraday, and the KG8 incident.
If you already know that much, I guess it'd be alright to tell you.
Now then, I'd like to ask you a few questions about the KG8 incident.
It's not exactly a happy story. Other than the people who were directly involved, you two will be the first to hear what I'm about to say. The honest truth behind the KG8 incident.
Look, his cigar was actually a lollipop the whole time! I love that detail. Because, you know, cool people don't smoke. They just put lollipops in their mouths and look like they're smoking. I like to think that Edgeworth here is just more surprised about the lollipop.
Faraday, you and I. As you already know, we three were involved with the KG8 incident. Faraday and I, we were originally on the trail of a smuggling ring.
You mean the smuggling case involving one of the Amino Group's secretaries?
That trial was just a front.
A facade?
Yeah. But the case became tainted. All because the witness who was going to testify about the Amino Group's ties to the smuggling ring, CCU, was killed.
Then what became of the secretary who was arrested?
His name was Colin Deveray. To be honest, The guy didn't know a thing about the smuggling ring. But he confessed to knowing about it anyway.
Oh, that's really sad. He wasn't even involved at all, and then obviously the chain of events that led to the kidnap turnabout.
Everett was probably being intimidated by the big boss man. Just another scapegoat.
The boss man of the Amino group. You can't seriously mean Mr. Ernest Amino. That can't be right.
It's probably just Detective Bad's personal hypothesis.
What is he trying to do, suspecting Mr. Amino of being involved with smuggling?
I suppose it would have been quite difficult to secure an acquittal after he confessed. The man who killed CCU, Manny Kochin, was a completely different person. But since he's already been acquitted once of her murder... Mr. Faraday, how could you let him go?
If I remember correctly, I heard that Mr. Faraday had an important piece of evidence stolen from him.
That wasn't Faraday's fault. It was mine. I wasn't vigilant enough. Faraday, Cece, I was supposed to protect them both.
Miss Yu did mention that as well. How about how Detective Bad was supposed to guard her sister?
But even I, who was supposed to protect them, I fell into their trap.
What kind of trap?
The holes in this jacket are a testament to that trap.
You mean... you were fired upon? You were shot at that many times in one gunfight?
No. Only about half of these are from that case. But the reason I continue to wear this jacket is to remind myself of the lessons I learned from the KG8 incident.
I see.
I couldn't protect CCU, and the suspect was found not guilty. We had hit a brick wall, as far as the law was concerned. And that's when she came to the courtroom, the victim's sister. That's when I first met Callisto Yu.
About when you first met Miss Yu. It was on the day the verdict of the KG8 incident was handed down, was it not?
Yes, Faraday and I, we apologized to her from the bottom of our hearts. It was all we could do, but... just saying you're sorry won't bring my sister back, she said. And then she gave me a hard slap across the face.
Well, she certainly had a lot of self-control to stop at just a slap. If it was me, not even 100 lashes would have been punishment enough.
I suppose not.
You said it herself. That she never wanted to see either of us ever again. But after that, you've seen her many times over, correct?
Yeah. Faraday and I, even after the KG8 incident had come to a close, we continued to hunt down the smuggling ring and get involved in a variety of cases. But it was no use. We cracked so many different cases. But the result was always the same. We couldn't find the real mastermind behind the ring.
Is the ring really that big?
It was in pursuit of the ring that we met you once again. It was during another trial related to the smuggling ring. Faraday was the prosecutor, and I, as the lead detective, took to the witness stand. She appeared out of the blue as the defense attorney.
Her client was related to the smuggling ring and she was defending them.
Yeah. Yu was pursuing the ring as best as she could as a lawyer. I think she defended Rel this time, for the same reason.
Come to think of it, Miss Yu did say something to the same effect.
I have my own agenda.
I'm still on the hunt for leads regarding the KG8 incident. Alright? And for that, you have not a single qualm about defending a known killer. Don't put words in my mouth. I said no such thing. The only way I had to get close to Mr. Rel was to be his lawyer. I had no intention of covering for him. Ever.
So don't you dare suggest I was going to. It doesn't matter what her reason is. Helping a criminal is just despicable. You're so naive, little girl. I could have stolen this lollipop from you. That's how naive you are. How dare you insult the daughter of Von Karma? Just like us, you felt that she had hit the limits of what the law could do. That's all. The law is merely a tool. There's no limit to it, only the skill of the craftsman. You two are still too young, but one day you'll know what I mean. But enough sidetracking. What matters is that we met you again in pursuit of the smuggling ring. That's all. I think the dynamic between... Oops, I didn't mean to press that. I think the dynamic between Bad, you, and Faraday is very interesting to just go down and dissect. And I think you in general is just a really interesting character. Like, she has that, like she appears no nonsense, but then she has her laughing fits. But you can tell that, like, the gears are cranking in her head. And she also has a lot of, like, emotional tie to the case in very many ways. And that helps her, like, not to say manipulate, but it allows her to get the upper hand on people like Bad, who, you know, normally you would think he would have the upper hand. Or even just her demeanor around Edgeworth and Franziska, for example. So what was your relationship to Mr. Faraday? You even seem to know Kay fairly well. I met him when he was a rookie prosecutor. Known him ever since. And Kay, I've known her since the day that she was born. Faraday and I, we cracked quite a few cases together. But you two seem to have made no progress at all in the Yatagarasu case. Did we touch a nerve? I only have one thing to say to you. No one knew more about the Yatagarasu than me and Faraday. That's why I was called upon to testify in today's trial. To prove that Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Which I would have done if he hadn't turned around and accused Faraday. After the accusation, I was asked to testify, but this time, to prove or disprove the accusation, but I guess I won't be doing that either. I sense that there's more to this statement than meets the eye. Perhaps a bit more digging into the Yatagarasu is what's necessary. You claim to know much about the Yatagarasu. Would you care to share what you know with me? What you two should be looking for right now is proof of murderous intent towards Faraday and Rel. I agree, which is exactly why I'm asking you about the Yatagarasu. What? The KG8 incident and the second KG8 incident. Both of these cases are tied to the smuggling ring. And both of these cases, the witness who was to testify about the ring was murdered. However, there is one point which they differ. And that is the presence or absence of the great thief Yatagarasu. Mr. Rel claimed to be the Yatagarasu, however, in the middle of the trial, he suddenly declared Mr. Faraday to be the real Yatagarasu. Then during the recess, they were both killed. Don't you find that to be the least bit odd? Miles Edgeworth, stop beating around the bush and just spit it out already! I believe that there must be a reason that the two men suspected of being the Yatagarasu were both killed at the same time. A reason, huh? And so in order to catch Mr. Faraday's and Mr. Rel's cold-blooded killer, I feel that I need to learn as much as I can about the Yatagarasu. If it'll help you solve this case, then I'll tell you. I'll tell you the reason why we've never caught the Yatagarasu. What was that sudden outburst for? You almost made me whip you by accident! Ugh. Thanks for calling, Kirby. It still accidentally whipped me anyway. There are three main reasons why the Yatagarasu will always be one step ahead. First, the Yatagarasu always knows the exact location of the target object. Second, the Yatagarasu always knows exactly how to disarm the security system. Third, the Yatagarasu doesn't leave a single shred of evidence behind. Ever. I see. So those are Yatagarasu's special traits. Sounds like an incredibly elusive thief. The Yatagarasu has never been caught on tape, never tries to draw anyone's attention, and would never do something as lowbrow as commit murder. That's how I knew that Rel wasn't the real Yatagarasu right away. She can't use that sort of logic on its own to prove that he wasn't. Listen, little girl. I'm not done talking yet. Ugh. What's different about this time was that evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Kodopian embassy. The Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. And all this time, the evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about. In that case, how can you be so sure it was the Yatagarasu who sent it? That's easy. A special card that only the Yatagarasu uses was attached. That's how I can be so sure. And just what sort of card is it? Here, take a look at this article. Whenever the Yatagarasu wants to publicize something, a white card is sent along with the stolen information. But when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. And that's how Detective Bad knew Mr. Rel was a phony. Thank you very much. I have a much better understanding of the Yatagarasu now. Excuse me, Mr. Edgeworth. Yes? His Honor would like to transfer the evidence from today's trial over to you. So could you please head over to the courtroom? It'd be much appreciated, sir. Understood. I'll be there shortly. Detective Bad, what does the law mean to you? Finding the answer to that question is the only reason I'm still alive. I became a prosecutor to find the answer to that question myself, and to play a part in the ensuring that all criminals everywhere are found guilty. Yeah, we just got a lot of information there from that conversation. September 10th, District Court, Courtroom number 3. Oh, it's you, Mr. Edgeworth. Oh. It appears His Honor is still a bit dispirited. For the first time today, I experienced what it's like to stand at the witness stand. Oh, I now have a greater appreciation for just how hard it is to give testimony. Well, there's no reason for you to be all depressed about it, Your Honor. As a judge, no one expects you to think about anything other than the verdict. Francisca, there's no need to further depress His Honor. But I'm not trying to, Miles. Your Honor. Your Honor, I've come to collect the evidence that was be transferred to me. Your Honor, the evidence? Your Honor! Oh! Yes, can I help you? I'd like to collect the evidence now, sir. Your Honor, do you think you can stay focused long enough to at least do your job? Yes, I'm sorry. And I would accept that the defense attorney has yet to arrive. She's busy with the investigation. So let's keep this brief, shall we? Very well, in that case, please confirm that all the pieces of evidence are present. Furthermore, the evidence that was used in the murders of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel are also included, so please go ahead and use them in your investigation into their case. Understood, Your Honor. The pieces of evidence that were used in the murder of these two men. This could be a very good chance for me to find new leads regarding their case. And maybe even something that will finally lead me to the truth. I've placed all the evidence over the prosecutor's bench for you. I see. Thank you very much. I will go and confirm they are all accounted for. Oh,
Oh.
It would appear that the judge is still a bit dispirited. Stop that! You're being so depressing.
Whoa! You should listen to her, Your Honor, before things go from bad to worse. Although, it can't really get much worse for him, other than be whipped by her.
Yes, what is it? It looks like your debut trial fizzled out thanks to being declared a mistrial. Too bad. But now you can take your time bidding the evidence they transferred to you goodbye.
It's much too early to shelve the pieces that were given to me.
Oh, how do you figure?
2 of the pieces were used to kill Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel. Naturally, having all of them makes it easier for me to examine them more thoroughly.
Yes, of course.
Don't tell me you forgot about that fact, didn't you, Franziska?
I don't have to answer the characteristically foolish question of a foolish fool. Now hurry up and check the evidence already.
Trust me, I will. In due time.
It's a viewing gallery. This is where the riffraff sit when they come to watch.
Oh, this is the exact same dialogue as last time, too.
I wish that if it's like the same dialogue, but it's a different investigation segment, it still gets the check mark,
so I know that I've already read it. This must be the judge's desk. You could tell by the gavel sitting on top. Okay, this is also the same dialogue. What's over here? Evidence that Miss Yu prepared is just sitting here on the table.
You know you can't just walk off with it, right?
Of course I do. Miss Yu must have been caught off guard by her client's sudden accusation. I wonder how she would have defended Mr. Rel in that case if he was still alive. So this is the evidence related to today's Kodopian Embassy trial from Mr. Faraday's bag.
You mean the evidence bag that was on the table in lobby number 2, right?
Yes, finally we can now take a look at the evidence itself, and not just data about them. Let's be sure to thoroughly examine them while we have the time.
Agreed. I want to take a good look at all of the evidence from the embassy murder too.
Why is that?
Because I still don't fully understand what today's trial was about.
Ugh. Don't point your crop at me just because you don't know something.
Don't you try to order me around just because Papa chose you today.
I feel someone's still sore about not being picked by Mr. Von Karma.
It's all so real to see the knife up close.
So we have the knife, the gun, an envelope, and what's this organizer doing here? Oh, that's right, I completely forgot to tell you. About what, Your Honor? They found Mr. Faraday's personal organizer inside the evidence bag of his. Detective Bag requested it be passed along to you. He said it would help the investigation. Detective Bad said that.
What a strange stroke of luck.
Well, never look a gift horse in the mouth. We might as well flip through it too. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. I also want to note that, like, it's kind of interesting that for Ace Attorney Investigations Collection, they released a new piece of promotional art with all the main characters of both investigation games on the front cover, which is also the cover of the game. And they chose to draw young Franziska on the cover instead of current-day Franziska. And she's the only character that has her younger version on the cover instead of her older version, which is just kind of strange. I mean, I get it, her young version is exclusive to these games, and her young version does have a pretty nice design too, but to have only her be the person with the younger version of herself is a little bit weird. Like, maybe if they had, like, both Franziskas on the cover, and then in the corner they had, like, young Franziska with young Edgeworth and young Kay, that would make sense, but she's literally the only one with her younger version. Not counting characters who are included posthumously, who are already dead and only have a past version, like, for example, Gregory Edgeworth, who we obviously know his fate. So, I don't know, it's just kind of strange. It's the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday.
Who would have thought that such a beautiful piece of art could be used for such a cruel act? And it's never crossed your mind that you use your riding crop for the wrong purpose. This gun, it was originally used to kill the Cadopian Embassy staff member. When the crime was reported, the responding police found Mr. Rel still holding it, which led to his immediate arrest. And then this gun took the original shooter's life. How ironic. Indeed. There doesn't seem to be anything else we can learn from this piece of evidence. Mr. Faraday's organizer. It appears he was in the habit of using it. It looks like he wrote a strategy for getting Mr. Rel convicted down in here. I've collected the evidence I need to prove that Rel was the killer. Between the handgun Rel had on him when he was arrested, and the surveillance tape, I should be able to prove that he was the one. It appears Mr. Faraday honestly believed that Mr. Rel was the killer in this case. The sound of his handgun going off was recorded with superb clarity on the surveillance video. I also have evidence that I can use to prove that Rel is not the real Yatagarasu. And it would appear that he had proof that Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. No matter how he may try to play it, as long as I have the Yatagarasu's key, I can prove he's a phony. If I present it to him in court, he should clear everything up. And he apparently also had a very definitive piece of evidence. It's been a long battle. I hope this will finally bring it to an end. Yes, I believe Mr. Faraday was well prepared to discredit any claim Mr. Rel may have made about being the real Yatagarasu. And he had a way to prove that Mr. Rel was the guilty party in the embassy murder. This organizer is a clue straight from Mr. Faraday. I'll have to take my time and give it a thorough read later. Even though we just read everything now, but you know. Look, there's a picture stuck between the pages here. It appears to be a key. And a rather ornate one at that. Just look at the design on the handle. Craftsmanship is superb. Could this be the Yatagarasu's key Mr. Faraday mentioned in the organizer? The Yatagarasu's key. Detective Bad said something earlier. What's different about this time was that the evidence related to the smuggling ring was sent to the police. And the sender was none other than the one who infiltrated the Cadopian Embassy. The Yatagarasu. The Yatagarasu sent the evidence. Until now, the Yatagarasu would always publicize any corrupt dealings through the mass media. But not this time. The evidence this time was something only Faraday and I, and a select few others knew about. Mr. Faraday must have been trying to keep the secret key safe. And the prosecutor on both the Yatagarasu and smuggling ring cases, that's to be expected. That's odd. What is it? Mr. Faraday didn't mention anything about a knife in his organizer. That certainly is odd. The weapon that was used to kill the Cadopian Embassy staff member was the gun. But if that's the case, then where did the knife that was used to murder Mr. Faraday come from? Isn't it obvious? It was brought into the courthouse by Mr. Rel. That's the only logical conclusion, right? No, because it's not that easy to smuggle a weapon like that in here. Every person who enters the courthouse doors is checked through thoroughly for contraband. Furthermore, the suspect was handcuffed, making it impossible for him to bring a knife as large as this inside. In that case, how do you suppose the knife ended up inside the courthouse? I need to think carefully here. There's nothing related to the knife written anywhere in Mr. Faraday's organizer. However, it is a fact that this knife came from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. Conversely, there's only one item listed in Mr. Faraday's organizer that no one has claimed to have seen today. So in order to solve this mystery, I believe I'll need to take another good look at the evidence. Miles Edgeworth, can I take the fact that you have yet to answer me to mean you don't have an answer for me? Actually, I do know the answer, Francisca. What? Then what is it? One of the pieces of evidence we've been holding has been hiding a secret of its own. And it was through this piece of evidence that the knife was brought into the courthouse.
Take that!
This Yatagarasu's key Mr. Faraday mentions in his organizer. This is how the knife was brought into the courthouse. You're not making any sense, Miles Edgeworth. You just need to look a bit closer, Francisca, to see what I mean. Don't the color and ornamentation of the key's handle remind you of anything? They do remind me of the knife. Very good. Both the Yatagarasu's key in this photo and the murderous knife have this very unique design on their handles. Furthermore, even though Mr. Faraday mentions the Yatagarasu's key, the only object we found at the crime scene was the knife. You don't seriously mean to say? It appears you finally caught up. And yes, I do mean to say that these two pieces are in fact one and the same. But that's impossible! Even if that is what you believe, we should still investigate this possibility. Ugh. Now then, let us examine this knife in a little more detail. It's the weapon that was used to kill Mr. Faraday. The handle and the blade itself both have beautiful designs worked into them. Look, there's even a flower-shaped design in this gold section here. If this hadn't been used as a tool for murder, I'd want one for myself. She seems to be drawn to the embellishments. Too bad it isn't mine to give. I can't believe it turned into a key! To think there was such a trick to this thing. So the weapon used to kill Mr. Faraday is actually the key the Yatagarasu stole. This piece of evidence is more critical than anything we've learned up until now. Frankly, I'm shocked. Mr. Faraday only mentioned the key aspect of this piece of evidence in his organizer. It's possible even he had no idea the key was hiding a knife blade inside. But if that's true, then only someone who knew about the key to knife trick could have killed Mr. Faraday. Even among law enforcement, this key was top secret. We're looking for someone who knew even more about the key than even Mr. Faraday. Meaning that the only person it could be is the one who sent the key in the first place. The great thief Yatagarasu. Then maybe Mr. Rel really was the Yatagarasu. And he was the one who killed Mr. Faraday. Isn't that one possible scenario? No, not really. Especially since Mr. Faraday was absolutely convinced Mr. Rel was not the Yatagarasu. Besides, as Detective Bad said earlier, but when we questioned Rel about what was sent along with the white card, Rel had no idea what it was. I see. Alright then, I guess the person who knows the trick behind this key is someone else, and that person is the real Yatagarasu. It seems this key is truly the key to solving this case. I took a quick look through the documents before the trial started. Well, I wasn't even afforded the opportunity to skim it. I suppose I should explain it to you then. Yes, you should. Perfectly and in its entirety, if you please. On the night of September 8th, an embassy staff member was killed in front of the embassy. The staff member died of shock due to being shot in the heart. Mac Rel was brought in that night as suspect and thoroughly questioned, because the murder weapon was found on him, for which he was arrested on the spot. A simpleton of a man, if that's what he was. Perhaps he was, for the weapon wasn't the only incriminating evidence we had. Mr. Rel was caught in the act on film by a security camera. He was even bigger simple than I thought. I can't believe he didn't notice the security camera. The Canopian Embassy's security system is supposedly very well designed. He may have simply not been aware that there was a camera in the area. So, have you seen the contents of the video for yourself? Yes, the surveillance video the security camera took was played during the trial by Mr. Faraday. You can clearly identify Mr. Rel on it. Even the sound of the gunshot was crystal clear. So the footage induced sound, huh? I don't think I'd ever want to see the moment of someone's death in real life. Me neither. That's odd. We're short one piece of evidence. And the piece of evidence is missing is the surveillance video that was played in court. The surveillance video? How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? The video showing the moment in which Mr. Rel committed the murder. Where could it have gone indeed? Are you done with your inspection of the evidence? Yes.
I'm finished. However, Your Honor, I'm missing a single piece of prosecutorial evidence.
Your Honor, were you derelict in your duties?
What? No, I dare not lick my duties. What do you take me for? No, Your Honor. The most important piece of evidence in today's trial, the surveillance video, is not among the evidence you laid out for me. But I brought Mr. Faraday's whole bag with me from the crime scene. Maybe the tape is still somewhere at the crime scene. There's something wrong here. Something about this missing piece of evidence. It would appear that for me to find the answers I seek, I'll have to pay another visit to the scene of the crime. Defendant lobby number 2. Hey, Hero, welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for stopping by today. It's good to see you. September 10th, 6 o'clock p.m. District Court, Defendant Lobby Number 2. That's Detective Bad. But who is he with? I've never seen that officer before. So, did you find it? No, not yet, and I've looked everywhere. I see. Well then, please continue with the search. Understood. I'll continue the search. Huh, so you're the one running the show. Prosecutors like you shouldn't be allowed at crime scenes. How dare you? Just who do you think you are? What was that all about, and who was that man just now? Whoever he was, I've never seen a more impudent officer in my life. Does he even know that we're standing right here behind him? I know you're standing right behind me. What do you want, kids? Oh. It looks like you were paying attention after all. Of course I was. I have eyes in the back of my head. Ah, so that mirror isn't for vanity's sake. It's for him to keep an eye out on who or what is behind him at all times. So tell me, Detective Bad, who is that rude man just now? The guy came here from the Republic of Zhengfa to study. He's Agent Lang. He's trying everything he can to revive the lost honor of his family. He's traveling the world to study different philosophies of detainment from scratch. By visiting various police departments around the world, he has a lot of dedication. He's still just a rookie cop, but I sense a strong grudge of some sort from him. The guy's more useful than Gumshoe, even if he is rude. Well, he sure has a lot of guts to come to this country and give prosecutors a hard time. I agree. However, I can think of one young lady that statement also applies to. Anyway, what was that agent looking for, Detective Bad? Earlier, that little girl was poking around in lobby number 1 as well. Like I said before, it's got nothing to do with the two of you. I highly doubt that it has nothing to do with me. Huh. Fine, if this is a game I must play, I'll take the opportunity to draw out what he's been hiding and what happened in this room straight from him. There's one tiny TV. Okay, this is all the same dialogue. I guess I'll just talk to Bad. No, I don't mean to examine the window. Earlier, you were in lobby number 1, and now you're here in lobby number 2. You're quite the busy man, Detective Bad. Multiple returns to a crime scene brings about success. That's what we detectives say. I see. In that case, you wouldn't mind if I asked about what happened again, correct? I don't have anything left to say to you, boy. Boy? You'll see. I will draw my answer from you one way or another. Would it kill you to help us even a tiny bit in our investigation? I gave Faraday's notebook to
to the judge earlier. That's help enough, don't you think? Ah!
Please, we are asking you for just a bit more of your cooperation.
Don't push me, kid.
I'd like to ask once again about what happened around here at the time of the crime.
I refuse to answer. Any more investigating you do would be a waste of time. Besides, how am I supposed to answer questions about things I don't know about?
Things you don't know about? But aren't you supposed to know everything?
He should.
Wait, is it possible? Maybe he doesn't know about the trick behind that piece of evidence. I should try showing it to him. It may prove to be the key to getting some answers from Detective Bad. Detective Bad, did you know of the existence of the item in this photograph?
Of course I did. It's my job to know everything related to the Yatagarasu case.
In that case, let me ask you something. Did you know the knife that killed Mr. Faraday and this Yatagarasu's key are one and the same?
What? That's impossible.
It looks like he didn't know after all. This piece of evidence, which we call the Yatagarasu's key, is actually a well-camouflaged knife. Mr. Faraday was planning to use this Yatagarasu's key to prove Mr. Rel was not the real Yatagarasu. Isn't that correct?
I guess so.
However, Mr. Faraday had no idea it was in fact a knife.
Yeah, I have to admit, neither one of us knew that fact.
Neither one of us knew that no one in law enforcement knew either. Hey Tsuki, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today.
How do we miss something as big as this?
I noticed that since a little while ago you appear to be searching for something. I presume this key is what you're searching for.
Yeah, that's right.
Why are you searching for it?
Because I promised Faraday. I promised that I'd protect that key with my life. But after he was killed, the key disappeared from Faraday's evidence bag. Who would have thought that the key is what took Faraday's life?
Detective Bad, so that we may find the truth, please testify for me once more.
Alright. It doesn't matter how many times I tell you about what happened. Nothing will change.
Detective Bad, I ask you please testify once more about what happened in lobby number 2 and what you experienced in lobby number 1.
My answer's still the same. And this is the last time I'm going to do this.
That's fine, because I only need this one last time to clear everything up and find the truth behind this case. Detective Bad's movements.
I was in lobby number 1, talking with you. Not you as in you. You as in you. You know you. Not you. You. You know you, right? You.
Thank you for the stretch fade, I appreciate it. Oh, thanks for calling Kirby, Kieran. And for the sleeveless redeem, thank you, thank you.
We were talking about some trivial things. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and we all ran into lobby number 2.
It sounds like the exact same story he told us before. Indeed. However, I feel that we have yet to draw out all the information we can.
I was in lobby number 1 talking with you.
Hold it!
Why did Miss Yu choose lobby number 1?
Answer me! Who knows? She just said she had something she wanted to talk to me about. And we walked into lobby number 1 together. That's all.
So his answer remains the same as before, I see.
We were talking about some trivial things.
Hold it!
I was hoping you could expand on what exactly you were discussing with Miss Yu.
Trivial stuff. It was nothing important.
That's for me to decide. Alright, I suppose that's for him to decide. Moving on then. I heard the gunshot right before the trial was about to reconvene. Until you heard the gunshot, did you notice anything else that was out of the ordinary? And I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot. If the gunshot Detective Bad heard was really the one from the murder, that would give that other piece of evidence an entirely different meaning. I ask you please amend your testimony with the statement just now. Sure. I didn't hear any other strange sounds until that gunshot.
Hold it!
Detective Bad, you honestly don't remember hearing anything else? Yeah. Is it possible you were so involved in your conversation that you missed something? I've been a detective for a long time, and even if I were involved in something, I've got quite the habit of keeping tabs on everything that goes on around me. If there had been some other strange sound, you can be sure I would have heard it. I suppose with this detective that's probably very likely. So the gunshot. When we heard it, you and I immediately dashed out into the hallway together.
Hold it!
And why did the two of you dash out in the hallway straight away? Because we clearly heard the sound of a gunshot. And we knew it came from somewhere nearby. How did you know that it was a gunshot? In my line of work, you hear enough of them to know. I suppose it's only natural for a detective to know what a real gunshot sounds like. But given the circumstances, the only person I could think of whose life would have been in danger was Faraday. That's why I ran out of the hallway right away and headed for where he was. I saw Gumshoe goofing around there, and then we all ran into lobby number 2.
Hold it!
Detective Gumshoe was there in the hallway. Yeah. Why didn't you attest to that earlier? When I saw Gumshoe, it was after I'd heard the gunshot. Having seen him then didn't change the fact that he still could have done the deed. Ugh! Sounds exactly like what Detective Bad told us before. However, is there something in particular we should be asking the detective about? There just might be. No one knew that the knife is actually the Yatagrasu's key. Reflecting on that, perhaps there are other things we know now, but Detective Bad doesn't know yet. Yes, that should be my angle of attack.
Objection!
Detective Bad, does this balloon fragment remind you of anything? It's the same color as the one Kay was holding. Oh, so you knew about the girl's balloon? Yeah. I was sitting with her up in the gallery. During the recess, just before we split up, I filled that balloon up for her. Aw, Uncle Bad. Well, as you may have already surmised, this piece did indeed come from Kay's balloon. So, what about the balloon? I wonder if you might remember hearing this balloon pop at some point. What are you getting at? This fragment was found in the hallway, right in front of lobby number 2. Furthermore, it was the sound of this balloon popping that the judge mistook as a gunshot. Oh, so the sound the judge heard was not actually a gunshot, huh? On top of that, His Honor said he heard the balloon pop about 20 minutes before the trial was to reconvene. Which means His Honor heard the balloon pop in the hallway when you were in lobby number 1, Detective Bad. And if you were in lobby number 1 at the time, you were close enough you should have heard the balloon popping as well. So? What? Don't give me a so! We just proved that there's a flaw in your testimony. The crackling of the truth is louder than the sound of your sweet naivete cracking. And since you kids don't seem to know, let me fill you in on something. Did you ever stop to think why the doors and walls of this place seem so rugged? That's because they were designed to keep secrets from being leaked. What is that supposed to mean? The doors and walls are super thick. The window panes are double layered. To top it all off, even the curtains are made of a special sound-absorbing material. Then you mean... Since I was shut up inside lobby number 1, there's no way I could have heard that sound. No! Ugh. I knew that's what he was gonna say. Then that means the Scruffface's testimony is completely useless.
If the rooms are soundproof, then of course you wouldn't hear a sign of a struggle. Ugh. That's also why it's only natural that I didn't hear the balloon popping. Now do you get it, kids? Miles, I thought we were supposed to be the ones finding flaws in his logic. Not the other way around. The other way around. It's not possible to hear the sound of a balloon popping if it was in lobby number 1. However, if we examine the situation in reverse, a person standing in the hallway should not be able to hear a real gunshot either. Hey Lork, welcome to the stream. Thanks for stopping by today. And yet Detective Gumshoe claims to have heard it when he was standing in the hallway. Detective Bad, if that's the case, how exactly did you hear the gunshot? What do you mean, how? I just did. It would appear that you have yet to realize the contradiction in your own words. Oh, how so? If the rooms are as soundproof as you say they are, then how did the sound of the gunshot enter your ears? Ah, I see what you mean. I guess I'm more out of it from Faraday's murder than I thought. Which means what exactly, Miles? In the end, what does it all boil down to? It boils down to this. There must be a reason as to how Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard a gunshot they theoretically couldn't have. It looks like we need to examine the state of the crime scene again, huh? The state of the crime scene. Wait! Can it be? It's that ultra-strong perfume you wears. She spilled some of it. Ugh! And way too noisy! The surveillance video. How could a piece of evidence just disappear? Where did it go? Oh, here, time to do some logic. Take this! It's simply not possible for the killer to have escaped through barred windows. And yet the fragrance of the perfume managed to escape from defendant lobby number 1. Of course! Incorporeal things can move freely through these open barred windows. Brain blast! Now then, what else besides the smell can go in and out of an open barred window? The answer is sound! So no matter how careful the killer was, if the windows were open, the jig would be up. Since the windows in both defendant lobby number 1 and the hallway were open, that explains how the sound of the gunshot could be heard in both locations. I wonder what we connect together. The missing piece of evidence is a video. It shows the moment in which Mr. Rel killed the embassy staff member. The sound of the gunshot left quite an impression on me when it was played during the trial. The video should have been returned to Mr. Faraday's evidence bag for the recess, and brought back here. It disappeared after that. And it's possible the tape is still here in this room. Eureka! The evidence that the missing evidence created for me is the gunshot sound that no one should have been able to hear in the first place. Miles, what have you been thinking about? Stop wasting time thinking, let's get started looking again. It's not a waste of time to think, for I figured out where we should look. And where would that be? I believe we should examine the television. The TV. Well, you kids have fun. Go ahead and examine whatever you like. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. The window is wide open. The scent of flowers is being blown in from the outside. I think it softens the heavy air in here somewhat. Windows in both lobby number 1 and lobby number 2 are open. Maybe they were trying to air out the room, just like in lobby number 1. Or maybe they sought to ease some of the tension through some fresh air. Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel in the same room, I imagine the latter to be the case. But was there really a need to open the window just for that? Earlier, when Detective Gumshoe touched this, It made a most terrible racket. You mean when Scruffy turned the television on, right? Actually, come to think of it, I don't think Detective Gumshoe actually touched the television at all. Furthermore, it seemed more like when a video feed suddenly stops. At least, it did to me. I wonder why that is. Someone let out an absolutely massive fart, so they had to open up the window. And that threw off the entire investigation. It's a video player, and there seems to be a videotape inside. It looks like it. The tape must have stopped on its own when it reached the end. This tape could not be the missing surveillance tape. I suppose, but... Detective Bad, would it be alright with you if I verified the contents of this video? Sure. Knock yourself out. Alright then, let's rewind this and see what we have. If I remember correctly, the footage of Rel killing the embassy staff member should be about the 30-minute mark from the start of the tape. Understood. Yeah, it's the VCR rewind sound. What a blast from the past. This should be about right. Now then, let's see. This is the footage of Mr. Rel shooting the embassy staff member. I knew it. The missing piece of evidence. The surveillance video was here all along. The sound. What's the meaning of this? It appears Detective Bad has figured out the true source of the gunshot he heard. With this, I think we can figure out the trick behind the double murder. Do you mean you figured it all out then? Yes. All I have to do now is show what the gunshot Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. Fine, in that case show me what you've deduced. Now to show what the gunshot Detectives Bad and Gumshoe heard was, and through where they heard it from. I won't rest until I've inspected every suspicious-looking nook and cranny. So someone left this video on play the whole time, huh? I suppose so. Other than the killing, there's hardly a sound on the rest of the tape. And why did the television make that loud noise when Scruffy got near it? That's probably because the tape had run out and stopped its playback. It's not just bad luck, that detective has the worst timing in the world too. Someone purposely left the video play on purpose. The question is, why? Is this spot somehow connected to any of the evidence I hold?
Eureka!
If the door and windows to the crime scene, namely this room that we're in, were closed, the killer could have used the gun, and no one would have been the wiser. That's true. This courthouse does seem to be well designed for such a thing, as it were. However, what happened in reality was... Detective Gumshoe, Detective Bad, and Miss Yu. All three of them heard the gunshot. While the windows in lobby number 1, lobby number 2, and the hallway were open. So naturally the people in those locations could hear it. Ah, but then, why would the criminal open the window in the first place? To allow the gunshot to be heard, I suppose. Correct. That's the only logical conclusion we could draw from this. But why was that necessary in the first place? I want a real answer, Miles. I demand satisfaction. Very well. I believe the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of a certain fact. What was it the killer wanted to manipulate our perception of? When the crime took place. The killer wanted to fabricate the time of death to their precise wishes, and they used the gunshot in the surveillance video to do so. So that's why the tape was left running. You mean, the gunshot I heard was from this video? Yes, which means the murders really occurred at an earlier time than we had thought. Ugh. It must have been during the recess, but before Detective Gumshoe was on guard. Someone who has no alibi for that time period, and planned this crime out in advance. That person is the real killer. Mr. Edgeworth! Yes, what is it? Miss Yu is asking for you. She's in the courtroom. She says she's identified the murderer, but she wants to clarify something. It looks like Miss Yu is still investigating something.
Understood. Please tell her I'll be right over.
I'd come along. Or I'll come along. I want to hear what she has to say.
It would appear that the time has come
To uncover the truth.
to be continued. You know, as much as I like this case, now that I'm replaying it, like there's a lot of little things that I'm like, you know, Detective Bad is like the best detective we've seen in the entire series so far, more or less, right? He's supposed to be really good and grizzled and veteran, but like he couldn't figure out the knife was actually the key, even though it's pretty obvious from the handle, and I know it's supposed to be a little bit, you know, it's obvious to us, the viewers, but then not obvious to the characters for the sake of gameplay. But then on top of that, they were looking for the videotape because they lost the videotape, right? But they didn't think to look in the VCR. And they examined the entire crime scene. They did an entire autopsy on the bodies in like 2 seconds. And they didn't bother to check the VCR. Just seems a little weird to me. And if every single room in this entire courthouse is so soundproof that you can't even hear a bullet being fired, maybe they should install some security cameras, I'm just saying. In a courthouse, right? Where you would think it'd be pretty important to be secure. Also, I still haven't figured out how to delete this other save file I made by accident last time. I was trying to see if there was a delete save file button from the title screen, and I couldn't find it. I didn't want to accidentally delete something else. Oh well. September 10th, 6:15 p.m., District Court, Courtroom number 3. Okay, what are you doing here?
Oh, hello, mister. I'm still investigating.
But the object you're looking for is already...
Okay, don't mind him. Please continue with your investigation. Okay, you got it.
Detective Bad, haven't we already found what you were looking for?
If it means I can keep her in the dark just a little longer, any little task will do. Oh, you're more sympathetic than I thought.
Huh.
I've been waiting for you, Edgeworth.
I've also been waiting for the moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. The moment in which we can finally lay this case to rest. Wasn't that when we placed Detective Gumshoe under arrest?
I think we've more than solved this case already.
Don't you?
We'll see. It all depends on whether or not your logic holds.
Oh, I see we even have a viewer in the gallery. And why even Mr. Bad is here.
A viewer in the gallery? I'm hardly just a bystander. I have a duty to see this case through to the end. No matter how it turns out. Oh, is that right? Anyway, I thought you might just like to hear what I've slaved a way to find out. I've taken statements on every single person's movements during the time when our suspect was in the hallway. I also confirmed there's no possible route of escape from lobby number 2. Therefore, the killer must be without a doubt be Detective Gumshoe.
And that's all you have?
Yeah, that's all there is to my conclusion, and this case.
Sorry, but I beg to differ. In a trial, there's always time for a rebuttal, and we are standing in a court of law. It'd be more than appropriate to follow the rules of court in this case, don't you think?
How absolutely like a rookie to think such a thing. But alright, I'll play along and give you a proper testimony.
If my logic is correct, then I've already won. All I have to do now is prove it by showing who the real killer is. Misuse argument.
Everyone, sans the suspect, has an alibi for when the gun went off. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right? I also confirmed there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2, which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer. Ugh. Now that you have your testimony, I expect a good rebuttal, Edgeworth.
But of course, there's no need to confront her logic head-on right now. I should instead focus on drawing out any trump card she has up her sleeve. Those are going to be very unfortunate earrings when your ear's natural conveyor belt function spits out earwax. That's such a funny comment to make, Lork. You know what? You're absolutely right, though. Maybe those earrings are actually earwax catchers. Have you ever thought about that? I like how you call it the ear's natural conveyor belt function. That's probably the best way you could have described it. You didn't think of that until I said it? Well, you're welcome. Everyone stands the suspect, has an alibi for when the gun went off.
Hold it!
The suspect? But I thought the Detective Gumshoe's alibi has already been proven. Are you joking, Edgeworth? I assure you, this is no joke. Look, I know you heard from the judge earlier that the detective was in the hallway with Mr. Faraday's daughter eating a Swiss roll. Yes, that is correct. See, that was 20 minutes before the real gunshot went off, right? And the problem is, there's no one else who could corroborate what he did during the snacking. I see she's done her research well. Which means I should focus on drawing out whatever trump card she's withholding. Furthermore, the areas around the crime scene have all been thoroughly investigated, right?
Hold it!
Whether they have been thoroughly investigated or not is for me to decide. The scrunched eyebrows and lines on your forehead are back. Anyway, even if you believe it hasn't been exhaustive, the crime scene, lobby number 2, has no way out other than the hallway Detective Gumshoe was standing in. And because he claims to be there, that makes him the only possible suspect. But isn't it possible someone escaped through the window and into the garden? That's the first place everyone looked, silly. The police aren't a bunch of lazy bums. They looked into every possibility, you know. Isn't that right, Mr. Bad? Yeah. There wasn't a scrap of evidence to suggest someone used one of the windows. There also weren't any footprints or anything in the courtyard garden. I suppose they really did check everything that they could to be relevant to the case. Yeah, except the VCR, apparently. I also confirm there's no possible escape route from lobby number 2.
Hold it!
Are you absolutely positive there are no possible routes of escape?
Of course I'm sure.
Why are you so certain?
This is a courthouse, the place where criminals are brought to be judged. If there was an escape route, I'm sure every criminal would be using it to escape. It's just common sense.
Miles Edgeworth, let's just use a bit more of it in the future. Ugh.
Which leaves us with one unshakable conclusion, that Detective Gumshoe is the killer.
Hold it!
You may think it's unshakable, but to me, there are still too many unanswered questions. For example, who was it that placed the gun in Mr. Faraday's hand?
But you're the only one still wondering that. Detective Gumshoe probably had no idea which hand Mr. Faraday used to write with. Even if you know someone, doesn't mean you'll know which hand they write with, right? I mean, I certainly don't care about that sort of thing.
I'm not about to let her get a rise out of me with such a flippant statement. I suppose we've already reached the end now. I already have my trump card ready. All that remains is to play it. But before I do, I think I should inquire into a little something about her argument. You said earlier that you confirmed the alibis of every person other than the suspect. However, I don't recall either Francisco or myself speaking with you about the subject.
Ah, but there were witnesses. For you, there is your mentor who gave you an alibi.
I see.
As for the little Missy, she came to the courthouse during the recess.
I was stopped by a security guard at the door to the hallway.
She gave him quite a whipping for that.
Or so I heard. She tried to get into the courthouse. They tried to scan her for weapons on the way in, and then she whipped the person that was checking her. That is very Francisco.
I'm the daughter of Mandarin von Karma, and I will not be forcibly stopped by a guard or a bailiff or anyone else.
Wait, so basically the only reason Francisca bothered to show up today was because she found out that I was to be the replacement prosecutor. By the way, Miss Yu, what about everyone's alibis before Detective Gumshoe was assigned to guard duty? What about them? Have you looked into what people were doing during that span of time? What kind of idiot do you take me for? It doesn't matter when the killer went into lobby number 2. From the time we heard the gunshot, to the time Mr. Bad and I arrived on the scene as we dashed from lobby number 1. The only person who could have committed the crime was Detective Gumshoe. Yes, let's talk about when you and Detective Bad heard the gunshot, shall we? I suppose if we go by your logic, Detective Gumshoe is the only one. However, what if the crime had occurred at an entirely different time than when the gunshot you heard went off? What then? That gunshot was a trap, meant to manipulate our perception of... Sadly, your explanation is very lacking, Edgeworth. The gunshot we heard in lobby number 1. Care to explain how it could have been fabricated?
Take that!
That tape. Oh, she's doing different animations now. Yes, that's exactly what you think it is. This is the surveillance tape of Mr. Rel the prosecution presented in today's trial. This was found loaded into the video player in lobby number 2. That was connected to the large television that had its volume turned all the way up. You can't honestly mean the sound we heard was the gunshot in the video. Ah, but I do, which leads me to my next point. The murders occurred much earlier than when anyone heard the gunshot. That's the only thing I can think of, too. After committing double homicide, the killer took the surveillance video out from Mr. Faraday's evidence bag and turned the television's volume all the way up and left the video to play. If it played from the beginning, it would take 30 minutes for the gunshot sound to come on. And since we know that this method of time manipulation is possible, it opens up the possibility that the killer is someone other than Detective Gumshoe.
Objection!
Sounds from a television don't amount to much here. But of course Mr. Prosecutor Edgeworth and Little Miss Von Karma already knew that much from the very beginning, right? Of course we knew, didn't we, Miles? Yes, of course. We knew about the soundproof quality of this courthouse's rooms. Of course, I'm not able to admit we had no idea until only a little while ago. That's right, and if the rooms are soundproof, we should not have been able to hear it. And yet we heard the gunshot clear as day. And that's it. End of story. But it's not. How should I explain why she was able to hear a gunshot from the soundproof room? The window was open. Oh, you guys think they changed Callisto's objection lines? They sound different than the DS ones? I don't really remember what they sound like in that one, so I guess I have to go back and re-listen. Maybe. There is actually one common point between lobby number 1 and lobby number 2. And it is that despite the fact that both rooms have air conditioners installed, a window was open in each. Now we know that the window in lobby number 2 was opened by the killer. However, a window in lobby number 1 was also opened.
Objection!
It's probably just coincidence they were both open at the time.
Objection!
It was no mere coincidence, I assure you. Why was the window open in lobby number 1? The answer is a certain person did something to cause the window to be opened. And that person who triggered that action, that person is the real guilty party. The real killer in this double murder is... I mean, a lot of the old Ace Attorney games, all the sound clips are actually just made by Capcom employees. It wasn't until later games that they started to actually hire actual voice actors. So I know a lot of times they redo some of the voice clips in some of the remakes, but not all of them. I don't know what makes them decide which ones to replace and which ones they don't. Although I know that the old Phoenix objection voice clip was made by a Capcom employee that got into a spot of trouble on some allegations, so they replaced him in some of the games, probably for that reason.
that!
Miss Callisto Yu, I hereby formally indict you of the murder of Mr. Faraday and Mr. Rel.
What? You indict me?
Oh yeah, so this game, the remake, the collection of this Ace Attorney Investigations, they made a few new rearrangements of some of the soundtracks, and you can turn them on or off. So by default, when you get this game, they're on, but you can revert them back to their original tracks if you want. So it's a few tracks they did new remixes for, which is kind of cool.
Are you serious, Miles? Why do you think she's the killer?
I don't understand her motive just yet, but of course I'm serious. Because she's the only one who could have done it. Well, Miss Yu, do you still feel like laughing now?
Of course I do, Edgeworth.
My argument must not be tight enough yet.
Although I never thought things would spiral into this. I'll have you know I'm enjoying this dance. Quite a bit. I guess this means it's time for my own rebuttal now, right?
Miss Yu's rebuttal.
You argued the window was opened. However, do you have proof it was I who did that? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime? Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours.
This is where it really starts. I mustn't let my guard down for even a second, or the truth will blow away. Now's the time to put the patented Von Karma perfect proof to the test.
You argued the window was opened. However, do you have proof it was I who did that?
Hold it!
Evidence? All I'd need to do is have some prints analyzed and we'll know straight away.
Huh. Be my guest.
She sounds as though she has the room to maneuver. Which means, even if we were able to lift prints, they don't show it was someone else. But why that someone else was forced to open the window? That's simple logic. Why don't I try presenting that piece of evidence? I have nothing to lose.
What's wrong? The scrunched eyebrows, lines in your forehead, they're all back! More importantly, are you going to be okay not running a fingerprint analysis?
Yes, I'll be fine.
Oh, well in that case, I'll just continue my testimony, alright? Furthermore, do you have proof that the tape was used in committing the crime?
Hold it!
I thought I just proved it was.
Sure, you proved the tape was there at the scene of the crime. However, that doesn't prove it was actually used in the said crime scene.
Unfortunately for you, Miss Yu, the fact that the tape was there at the crime scene is in itself very important.
How so?
By the very existence of that tape at the crime scene, it proves the possibility that the when of the crime could have been fabricated. And that possibility alone renders all alibis and witness reports irrelevant. Basically, it means we will need to re-examine every person's movements again. Whether the tape was used in the crime or not, that we can re-evaluate afterwards.
Ugh. So in conclusion, you're admitting you can't prove it was at this point. Frankly, I'm shocked at you for going around accusing people of murder like this.
Hold it!
Even if you're shocked, that is of no concern to me. I do things my own way.
Oh. I see you're not laughing for a change. Because I'm shocked.
Again, you being shocked is of no concern to me. Let us continue with the testimony.
Alright, but let me just say one thing. You shouldn't go around accusing people. Especially with logic as full of holes as yours.
Hold it!
Full of holes? I suppose it might be.
Oh, admitting to your faults now, are we?
At this point in time is what I meant to say.
Should I take that to mean that you're just a sore loser?
No matter how full of holes my logic may be right now, if I plug them all one at a time, I'll ultimately make my way to the truth.
What a paradox. Take care not to fall into one of those holes before you fill it up. Miles, you remember, don't you? About why a window in lobby number 1 was opened.
Yes, of course I do. And that's how I'll attack. I'll present the reason why the window had to be opened. See, again, it doesn't make sense at all that she gave her perfume too bad, who then gave it to us to use against her, other than for gameplay reasons.
Objection!
I'm sure you've seen this before, haven't you, Miss Yu? Edgeworth, I never knew you were wearing that kind of perfume. It's not exactly what I'd recommend for boys, you know? She thought Edgeworth was stinky, so she gave him the perfume. This isn't mine! That's right, it's mine, and I received it from Detective Bad, you see. Miss Yu, you can pretend all you like, but we know at least this much is for sure. That you are the one who gave this bottle of perfume to Detective Bad. And that you're super easy to rile up. So, what about the perfume? While you're in lobby number 1, you made a big show of spilling some of this perfume. That's according to Detective Bad. Oh, I know. He also knew that if he spilled it, he would naturally move to open a window.
Objection!
Come now, I've already told you that's all just a big coincidence. After we opened the window in lobby number 1, I just left it open, you know. So maybe it was just dumb luck that we heard the gunshot through the window.
Objection!
The timing when you were going to spill the perfume is something you could control. And the most important fact about this case is when people were made to hear the shot. Furthermore, it would have been pointless if you didn't have an alibi for yourself at the time. You mean... Miss Yu, you were the one who called Detective Bad into lobby number 1, when you saw him bring Detective Gumshoe into the hallway. Is that correct? As all of today's premeditated events could only have been thought of by you, Miss Yu. Haha. You accused me of murder on the fact I spilled a little perfume. Well, allow me to say this much. I couldn't have killed Mr. Faraday. Would you care to testify as to why? Look, I've had a lot of fun today, really. But I grow weary of this game of cat and mouse. Let's make this the last testimony and wrap up this absurd case once and for all. Why it couldn't be me. Accusing of someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a little bit over the top. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came from. Miles, her testimony is flawless. Francisca, you have nothing to say about the part that she insulted your father? Yes, but no matter what sort of trick she may try to pull, she won't escape me. If I'm lacking in information, I'll just draw it out of her. Accusing someone of murder over a spilled bottle of perfume is a little bit over the top.
Hold it!
I think I already explained the significance of that earlier. You only confirmed that I did spill some perfume. But that's all. That you would accuse me of murder based on a simple spill. Don't you dare complain when I sue you for defamation of character. Do as you like, but as for me, I believe. You believe? I believe that you are the true culprit in this case. My, you're enthusiastic. Of course, I should have guessed. But I suppose forgery of evidence is to be expected of a disciple of Von Karma. Good night, Ash. Thanks for coming to the stream. Catch you next time.
Hold it!
I formally request you desist in your attack against my mentor. Yes, or we'll sue you for defamation. All I'm doing is telling the truth. Well, maybe more like spreading gossip. Although your adamant denials are, shall we say, just adding fuel to the fire. How dare you say such a thing? Calm down, little girl. Don't let her get to you. Ugh. Why'd you have to ruin my fun? Well, shall I continue? In any case, it simply could not have been me who killed Mr. Faraday. Why exactly could you not have killed him? I was just about to testify to that. You're such an impatient man.
I'm not really into that, you know, Edgeworth. Ugh, your preferences have no bearing on what is at hand. Feeling a little uncomfortable, are we?
Objection!
Miss Yu, you would desist in this tomfoolery and return to your testimony. And Miles, if you're gonna lose your cool, then I won't show you any mercy. Sorry. Miss Yu, please continue with your testimony. Sure. As I was saying, I couldn't have possibly killed Mr. Faraday. After all, I don't even know where the knife that was used to kill him came
Hold
from.
it!
At this rate, she will inevitably escape. But if she really was the one who killed Mr. Faraday, then she must have known about the existence of the knife. I'm sorry, Miss Yu. Maybe you weren't aware. However, the knife that was used to kill Mr. Faraday was taken from his evidence bag. Miles, what do you think you're doing? I'm drawing the truth out of her, that's what I'm doing. Huh? But I don't recall a knife being presented at the trial earlier today. Well, I suppose that's because the evidence was something Mr. Faraday had yet to use. So that's what you're trying to do. Look, why don't you cut it out with the lies? I've already figured you out. There was no knife inside Mr. Faraday's evidence bag. The only evidence he had yet to present was the key the Yatagarasu had sent. And unless a key can magically turn into a knife, you really don't have a leg to stand on. Did you really think you could trap me? Come now, be honest. I never intended to do such a thing. It was all a misunderstanding on my part. In any case, I wonder if you might append what you just said to your testimony. Sure, why not? I'll even say it as many times as you like. There was a key in his evidence bag, but you can't kill someone with a simple key.
Hold it!
Tell that to Sora Kingdom Hearts. Miss Yu, I would like to confirm something with you one more time. Oh, about what's going to happen to Detective Gumshoe after all this? I don't need to ask you about that, because he isn't the killer. Looks like the number of wrinkles on your forehead have increased yet again. That issue aside, Miss Yu, I'd like to ask you about what was inside the bag. You are sure it was the Yatagarasu's key, correct? Yes, I'm sure. Which is why I'm completely baffled as to where that knife could have come from. I think I just spotted the road to a perfect victory. Finally, it would appear you have revealed your true identity, Miss Yu. Miles, her final statement. Yes, I know. All I have to do now is present the evidence. What is this ominous feeling I can't shake?
Objection!
Miss Yu, I wonder if you might take a look at this photo for me. This is a picture of the key the Yatagarasu sent to the police. However, while it may look like a key at first glance, it does in fact have the secret ability to transform into a knife. Which means that what was inside Mr. Faraday's bag was both the Yatagarasu's key and the murderous knife. You knew the key was inside Mr. Faraday's bag, did you not? Yes. Well, with the Yatagarasu's key alone, it's more than possible to kill Mr. Faraday. Ugh. You understand now? Just knowing of the existence of the Yatagarasu's key. I still haven't gotten a good look at it. Showing it to me from that far away. You could be lying for all I know. You would even now still feign ignorance. I'm not feigning anything. We can't have you accusing me of crime with false evidence, now can we? I mean, Mr. Von Karma, I've heard some very interesting rumors about him. Are you mocking my papa? Don't you dare sully the good name of my mentor. Now take a good look. This piece of evidence is
more than real.
Wow, who knew there was such a trick to this thing?
Are you satisfied now? But of course, you knew from the very beginning, didn't you? You knew the knife and the Yatagrasu's key are one and the same. Otherwise, someone like you, who isn't a member of law enforcement, and who would never have been privy to this trick, would have never known about it to begin with. Furthermore, the something that the Yatagrasu sent to the police. How did you have knowledge as to what it was?
Actually, I heard about it from Mr. Faraday. Just before he dragged Mr. Rell off, he told me. Oh, that's right, I almost forgot. He also told me about the key turning into a knife at that time. But he didn't tell me about how the key actually transforms.
Objection!
What you were saying is simply not possible.
Oh, and why not?
Because Mr. Faraday himself didn't know about the hidden knife within the key. For within these pages, he mentions nothing about a knife.
Objection!
I'm not sure he would have written everything in his organizer, you know?
Wouldn't something of this importance be better left to oral communication?
Objection!
Unfortunately, that is also impossible. Because Detective Bad didn't know about the knife aspect either. What would have been highly classified information, even from within the police force? And it's something that even the lead detective on the case didn't know. Why would Mr. Faraday have felt the need to share such information with the opposition?
Yeah, I guess he wouldn't have much of a reason to. Looks like I gave a pretty lame excuse, huh?
How can you laugh at a time like this?
She probably just realized the flaw in her logic, and is actually in a panic over it. But that's not something we need to concern ourselves with.
I suppose you're right. Miss Yu.
Well, thank you for the stretch, Kieran.
I'd like to state that I also know how you know the real nature of the knife.
Do you now? Well, why don't you put your money where your mouth is, and show me.
Oh, I will. And I'll wipe that smile off your face by the time we're through. This is it. The moment of truth. The secret behind the Yatagrasu's key. Only one person would have knowledge of it from the get-go. Who would know from the start that the Yatagrasu's key could change into a knife?
Take that!
There's only one person who would have known about the dual nature of the key.
And that is?
And that is, the person who sent the Yatagrasu's key to the police. That is to say, the Yatagrasu herself.
His little wink and then finger wag, I still can't get over it, it's just so silly. Are you saying this lawyer is the great thief Yatagarasu?
Miss Yu, you used Mr. Rell to lure Mr. Faraday into a trap, didn't you? You who profess to bear a grudge against criminals. Why? Why do something like this? Who would have thought that you...
The stupid rookie prosecutor would see through me. You're sending the biggest chill down my spine right now, Edgeworth. This feeling of thrill. It's even greater than when I sneak into someplace.
You killed Faraday! Why? Answer me, Callisto Yu!
Callisto Yu, huh? That's not my real name. Because my real identity is, yes, the great thief Yatagarasu. Let me tell you something, Edgeworth. Mr. Faraday was one difficult man to deal with. For you see, he had discovered my true identity, which is why I had to erase him from the world of law. I made Rel an offer, an acquittal for a little favor in return. All he had to do was accuse Mr. Faraday of being the Yatagarasu in court. But once we entered the recess, Rel was dragged off by Mr. Faraday, which threw my plan into a complete mess. I chased after them and eavesdropped on them through a crack in the door. That Rel caves to only two things: money and authority, just as all thugs do. I feared my plan was going to be ruined if Mr. Faraday held on to Rel any longer. Plus, if I had let them continue on the way they were, I would have been found out. That's why I had no choice. I had to kill them both.
But didn't you say you despise criminals?
But do I really?
You've forgotten about the KG8 incident too?
Maybe.
What sort of woman would... So then, was it your plan to kill Mr. Faraday with the very evidence you sent?
Well, I had a good idea of what Mr. Faraday was going to do. I anticipated that Mr. Faraday was going to prove that Rel wasn't the Yatagarasu by using this Yatagarasu's key as evidence, and that he would bring it with him. Which is why I thought to use the knife portion. With a weapon as well disguised as this, no one would be the wiser. Because who in their right mind would think something like this could be a weapon? I casually entered lobby number 2 on the pretext I had to talk with Mr. Faraday. And in order to get with him, I pretended to be worried about something. He let me hold the Yatagarasu's key just like that. He never noticed I changed the key into a knife inside that plastic bag. And he didn't have the chance to take notes of the knife that took his life.
How could you kill him?
I knew him for a long time, you know. At the very least, I thought to give him a quick and painless death.
But if you killed Mr. Faraday first, there was no need for you to kill Mr. Rel as well.
I believe I mentioned why we were placing Detective Gumshoe under arrest. Something about having accidentally created an eyewitness. And how that led the killer to think about setting them up as though they killed each other.
And the trick with the surveillance tape.
Yes, I hadn't actually planned to use a gun. The risk was too high I'd be caught. However, that's when I remembered the existence of the surveillance tape. Which is why I had Rel help me set up the crime scene. And after all was said and done, I rewarded him for all his hard work. With a bullet.
You're a defense attorney, aren't you? How could you? How could you betray a client?
Client! If you want to talk about who was a client of whose first, it was me. I was the client in the murder of the Cadopian Embassy staff member, Dead Man.
You ordered a hit job.
You still haven't figured it out, Mr. Bad. I had Dead Man killed because he was about to give away info about the smuggling ring. Now, who exactly do you think would benefit from such an assassination?
It can't be. You're...
That's right. I'm a member of the smuggling ring.
What? How could this... You don't mean... You're working with Manny Kochin too, do you?
Maybe, maybe not. I guess you'll never know. The Yatagarasu claims to be noble, but you're just another cold-blooded murderer. That's right, little girl. The Yatagarasu is just another killer.
Be quiet, you! Yatagarasu! You can run from the law, but you'll never escape it. So just humbly accept the judgment of this court.
Hey, Edgeworth. Did you know the Yatagarasu has 3 legs? Do you know why that is? No? Well, let me tell you. It means that the Yatagrasu has more than one razor-sharp way to do her work.
Oh.
You really are too naive, Edgeworth. You even handed the Yatagrasu's key right to me without a second thought. Everything may not have gone according to my plan, but I'll still gladly take it.
You mean the key was your real target?
And even after I gave you such great advice. Didn't I tell you to always keep a good eye on a criminal? Or you may regret what comes of your negligence.
You two, get down! Of my body! I can't move!
Hey, mister, to your right!
You! Are you alright, Franziska?
I'm perfectly fine, Miles.
Her voice is shaking. It looks like she's unharmed. Where did Kei go? That's a gunshot! September 10th, 7 o'clock p.m. District Court, courtroom number 3. Franziska deflected the bullet with her whip. Sorry, but it looks like she got away. You've been listening in flabbergasted, Psycho Reaper? I'm glad. I called the precinct. They should have a perimeter set up soon. Detective Bad, are you alright? I heard a gunshot. I'm okay. Just got another hole in my jacket. You may say he's fine, but he looks quite shaken. But more importantly, boy, I mean, Mr. Edgeworth, Miss Von Karma, are you too hurt? See again, dang, how is Detective Bad so cool? How is he the coolest character in the entire Ace Attorney universe?
I'm absolutely fine.
I'm also alright, thanks to Kei. Speaking of Kei, where is she? I don't know. She sort of disappeared. I'll go look for her. Oh, and hey, Detective Gumshoe. Yes, sir! Detective Bad, sir! I'm sorry I doubted you. Don't worry, sir! It's not your fault! Well, I lied to you guys after all. I heard about what happened from Kei. Lying while giving testimony is still unforgivable. But, in this case, you were protecting Kei and her feelings. Looks like you just might have what it takes to be a real detective. Oh! Now, don't you ever lose that detective spirit, okay? You got it, Pops!
Pops? Watched one too many detective dramas recently, have we?
Way to single-handedly destroy the cheery atmosphere with one snarky comment. I should get back to the investigation. I swear, I'll catch you if it's the last thing I do. Be careful, Detective Bad. And take care. Thanks. Well, I'm off. Maybe we'll run into each other again someday. Thanks a bunch, pal. You're the best. You really did find out the truth behind everything. Yes, well, I'm glad we solved everything before you were taken to prison. I can't believe how much trouble I caused you with my testimony, Detective Gumshoe. Well, it's no problem, really. I mean, I lied too, so I didn't help anything. It's not really your fault, Your Honor.
Well, even if we didn't have His Honor's testimony, I think that lawyer would have found another way to get you convicted on her behalf.
Yeah. I can't believe I was about to get fired during my first week as a detective. Well, so long as you're not fired. You should work hard given all you have, and perform your duties well. Oh, and one more thing. Kay left a present for you with me. She did? Oh, what is it?
What was it that Kay left for me? The proof of their friendship.
This gun.
Take that!
It's the courthouse special Swiss roll! Can I really have it?
Yes, it's a present meant for you, after all.
Thanks a bunch! You have no idea how happy this makes me, pal. I'm gonna eat this right now. Yeah, gives him my Prosecutor's badge. This is your gift.
Sure, go ahead. The Swiss rolls Detective Gumshoe and Kay bought each other together. While the one Kay saved never reached her father. It would appear that her sentiments have touched the heart of this detective. He's so happy, and so he's having a welcome back celebration of his own. Well, I was asked by Kay to give it to him.
Whoop! That was good, pal. I can't believe I got to eat 2 of these delicious things in one day. It's like I'm in Swiss roll paradise or something. I gotta thank Kay myself. Hey, wait, where is she?
He only just noticed now? Was his mind not present when we discussed her earlier? Detective Bad left to go search for her earlier. Maybe you should go join him.
Yeah, you betcha, pal. I'm gonna go help him. Oh, but first... You know what, pal? Actually, I guess I shouldn't be so rude to you anymore, huh? I'm gonna stick right by your side from now on, Mr. Edgeworth, sir.
I sense nothing but a most troublesome relationship from that ominous statement. We should go home too, Miles. We have to hurry and report what has happened to Papa.
Aw, look at them, they're friends! Question mark.
Agreed. Well, I'm afraid we must be going now, Detective.
Roger, sir, and don't you worry, I'll investigate the next case we're on real well.
I'll, be counting on you. The scent of trouble is definitely in the air. Thus, like a bad dream, my first outing at court came to a disturbing end. A few months later, I was finally able to properly stand in court as a prosecutor. But the detective in charge of the investigation was, as I dreaded, Detective Gumshoe. After that, he became my direct subordinate. I've tried, but words fail to describe the immeasurable suffering he has caused me. But I suppose that's just how things are. As for the little girl who suddenly disappeared, she's now... So, do you remember now? Yes. I remember everything.
Edgeworth, how did you forget that anyways? Like, that was such a major event in your life, and you forgot everything up until now. You too, Gumshoe, although, you know, Gumshoe's not that bright, so whatever, but he made friends with Kay, and he still didn't recognize her. I mean, obviously for storytelling reasons, right? They wanted Kidnap Turnabout to come before Turnabout Reminiscence, the way to tie things together, so, you know, that's the way they wrote it. But still, it's just silly to think that he forgot.
Kay. It's been a while.
He's supposed to sound friendly, but he's doing his, like, evil smirk. Kay! You sure grew up a lot.
Of course! But thank goodness, I thought you two had totally forgotten about me.
You know, I was really worried about you after all that. Where have you been all this time?
Gummy, I didn't know you cared. After my father died, I went to go live with my mother's relatives. They lived really far away, so I wasn't really able to come back here all that much.
Oh, is that what happened? Well, I'm just glad you're alright.
So, does it all make sense now?
You betcha it does.
Oh, you know what? I was going through my father's bookshelves recently, and...
Hold it!
Actually, there are still a number of things that don't make sense, Kay. Huh? First of all, why did you come all this way to see me? And second, why are you calling yourself the Yatagarasu? The Yatagarasu is Callisto Yu, the woman who killed your father.
No, you're wrong. The real Yatagarasu was my father.
Huh? Mr. Faraday was the Yatagarasu.
Like I said, I was going through my father's bookshelf recently, and I found a secret diary hidden among his books. I have no regrets in choosing to walk the path of the Yatagarasu. That was written in his diary, and that's how I know for sure.
Ugh! But that's impossible!
What's with that look? You don't believe me?
It wasn't just the expression on my face, I clearly said it was impossible just now.
Alright then, how do you explain this?
It's a way of disarming any security system of the user's choosing.
Yep, that's Little Thief. Truth be told, this is the Yatagarasu's greatest secret. And this little gizmo was used by my father.
Wow! Mr. Faraday wasn't just a great prosecutor, he was a really great thief, huh?
Yeah, my father worked really hard to steal the truth. But he was killed. And the Yatagarasu was no more. But despite that, the Yatagarasu has been spotted again recently.
Someone other than you.
Here, Mr. Edgeworth. Take a look at this article.
The Yatagarasu sent the embassy a calling card.
Yeah, meaning this person's a fake, I'm almost certain. That Callisto Yu lady is behind this. Because the real Yatagarasu would never send something like a gaudy card out.
But the Yatagarasu did send a white card along with anything to be publicized. That's what Detective Bad told me 7 years ago, if memory serves.
Well, as soon as I heard the news, I got all wound up and I knew I couldn't just let it go. So I searched you out, so that I could obtain the truth behind the Yatagarasu. Because if anyone can help me find it, I'm sure it's you, Mr. Edgeworth.
So you're saying I have your father's and Mr. Yu's identities backwards?
Yeah, because the real Yatagarasu is noble to the end. And I want to revive the real, noble Yatagarasu. If I don't, my father will never be able to rest in peace.
Kay, you're so honorable. I don't care what anyone else thinks, I'll always be here to cheer you on, pal.
Even if you are honorable, a thief is a thief.
And if you're planning to commit a crime, I'm afraid I can't be complicit. Mr. Edgeworth! Oh, you guys are not making it easy for me. Who am I supposed to support now?
Mr. Edgeworth, what I want from you is not to steal something. What I want is the arrest of that evil woman.
That evil woman? You mean Callisto Yu?
I think it's too hard for me to catch her all by myself. But I thought that since you were able to expose her for who she is, then maybe... Please, Mr. Edgeworth, won't you help me?
Come to think of it, I do believe I owe you.
Huh? Owe me for what?
When Miss Yu made her escape, it was you who saved my life. Furthermore, you helped me with the investigation today. I'm not so rude as to leave favors unrepaid.
Then you mean?
Yes. The case that has been weighing down my soul ever since that fateful day. Perhaps the time has come to settle things once and for all. If you don't intend to sully your hands in a crime, then I believe I can help you.
Mr. Edgeworth, thank you!
Yay, Mr. Edgeworth, sir! Isn't that great, Kay?
Yeah, it sure is, Gummy.
Even though we had completely forgotten about her just until now. Ugh. What is with their chummy relationship? great thief Yatagarasu. After all that time, the true identity of the thief sank back into the darkness. Ern Faraday, Callisto Yu, and Kay Faraday. The phantasmagorically changed identity of the great thief Yatagarasu. And the Yatagarasu's real goal. It would all come to light the day after I made that promise to Kay. The end. Episode 5. Turnabout, Ablaze. Wasn't that great? And we ended like perfectly on time, like for my prediction yesterday. Like we did exactly like 3 hours today and 3 hours yesterday for a perfect 6 hours. Isn't that fantastic? I've been really good with my times on all these episodes. I hope that keeps up. The next case is actually really, really long. It's really good, but it's really long. At one point in time, it was the longest in the series, although that record has been since broken by now. But we're probably gonna do 3 streams to finish Turnabout Ablaze. It'll be a good one, don't worry. Yeah, I don't help thieves unless it's for a favor. And again, do you see how all the cases here are tying together? They're like kind of drip feeding you all these tiny little like hints and clues about things tied together. The smuggling ring, Mr. Amino, Jock Portsman, the KG8 incident, Kay Faraday, like all these things are slowly drip fed to us to keep us intrigued, and then they're all tying together, which again, it was done very intentionally for this game and to separate it from the regular Ace Attorney series, where, you know, most of the cases in the main Ace Attorney series are unrelated to each other. In most games, it's just like the first case and the last case might tie into each other, maybe one of the middle ones, but rarely do they have all the cases tied together until Investigations came out, and then Great Ace Attorney came out as well. So that's why I really like the spin-off games more than the main series. I like Investigations and I like Great Ace Attorney because the plots just feel a little bit more cohesive, and as a result, the characters and the world feel more cohesive. Not to say I don't like the main Ace Attorney series, I still do, but I think these spin-offs are really where it shines. Thank you so much for joining me, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well, whether you're re-experiencing this after, you know, 10 plus years, or whether you're experiencing it for the first time. Yeah, thanks everyone. Let's find someone to raid. Okay, Reizda is doing a birthday donathon. Her birthday's coming up, so let's go say hi to her. She's playing some Final Fantasy XIV. And I will see you guys tomorrow for the beginning of Turnabout Ablaze. Take care, guys. Bye, Froggy fans.